Today, the USA women's basketball team goes for the gold, but they have a high hurdle to clear. 7-footer Uliana Semenova of the Soviet Union. The coach of the U.S. team, Kay Yao, she has brought this team together behind CHERYL Miller, the very talented superstar for the U.S. But the key matchup today could very well be the matchup between 6'8" center for the USA, Ann Donovan, and Big Uli of the USSR.
Network Television proudly presents the 1986 Goodwill Games from Moscow and from Madrid.
Hello and welcome to the Soviet Union for Day 6 of our coverage of the Goodwill Games. Yesterday was the last day of competition in track and field, and it turned out to be the single greatest day of performance since these games began. There was Edwin Moses coming back after 2 years of injury, simply to adjust the crown that has set so easily on his head for almost 9 years. Moses has turned the notion of winning on its head. For him, the order of the day now is not losing. Then the confirmation of a speedster from Canada. Ben Johnson defeated 4-time Olympic gold medalist Carl Lewis for the second time in 6 weeks. Johnson's 9:95 was the fastest non-altitude time ever recorded. Beyond the familiar faces in the glamour events, there was the more anonymous 10,000 meters, in which fame is won through single-mindedness. It was Domingos Castro out-kicking U.S. national champ Gerald Donakowski. The bronze went to Dionisio Castro. A good day for brothers and for the country of Portugal. In the women's 4x100 relay, it was EVELYN ASHFORD who won the first U.S. track gold medal of the Goodwill Games in the 100-meter dash, bursting past her Soviet counterpart Elvira Babashina to win the gold for her team. And then Carl Lewis, an avenger, clearly seeking to reestablish himself after a less than impressive 100-meter dash, outstriding Victor Briesgen in the final quarter, just at the moment when the world of track seemed ready to turn away from this complex and supremely talented athlete. U.S. Olympian Doug Nordquist surprised a superb high-jump field with his best leap ever, winning the gold over Soviet Igor Paklin and Sorin Matai of Romania. But before all of that, there was 3 days of unrivaled competition. No one symbolized the intensity of those days as Sergei Bubka did. Boyish and yet possessed of a fierceness of spirit, Bubka vaulted over his own world record mark, lifting the bar by another half-inch. It was an example of an athlete working against the final barrier in all of sport, the barrier imposed from within. And that was track and field at the Goodwill Games in Day 6. And Nick Charles, we have another very big day ahead of us today.
It just gets better, it seems. The Soviets against the Americans in women's basketball. All the ingredients to be memorable. First, the rivalry. 4 years ago, the U.S. handed the Soviets their first loss in 24 years of international competition. CHERYL Miller was then only a high school player, but scored 15 points in that game. The Americans beat the Soviets the next year, but the Soviets struck back, beat the U.S. twice, and won the World Championship. And now they meet again in just a few moments. But there's much more we'll be showing you. Diving competition opened here in Moscow tonight with the women's 3-meter springboard event. The Soviets, Chinese, and East Germans figured strongly, but the Americans plan to surprise some people with platform specialist Michelle Mitchell on the springboard. There's several cycling medals at stake at the velodrome tonight and 2 key water polo matches. But back to the dominant issue, the women's basketball championship game. Bob?
We're going to come back and cover the women's championship game between the Soviet Union and the United States. They're going for the gold in just a moment when we continue with coverage of the Goodwill Games. Stay with us.
Welcome to the Juzba Multi-Purpose Gym. where the curtain is about to be raised on a play that has not shown since 1983 in the World Basketball Championships, when the two greatest women amateur basketball teams in the world, the Soviet Union and the United States, had a classic confrontation with the Soviet Union winning the gold 86-84. Well, the script is the same. They're both playing for the gold here at the Goodwill Games competition. However, we've had a change in the performers, some different players. But we have a player with us right now, Ann Myers, who has a lot of international experience, and, of course, the first four-time All-American at UCLA. You've played against this Russian team. What are the young girls going up against, the young ladies, that is, when they're getting ready for a big game like this?
Well, it's a little bit different team because the Soviet team is a lot more experienced than the American team, very inexperienced. But the Americans, anytime they play the Russians, it's like, all right, United States against the Soviet Union. And you always get jacked up to play against them. And so I know that the Americans are really excited to play. They think they've got a chance. But maybe some of the differences are that the Russian team, a little bit stronger, a little bit more experienced, and that might show off in the game, where the Americans are inexperienced, but they're more talented and a little bit quicker. So it just depends on who does what during the game.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Will we win?
Well, of course.
Okay, I should have never asked that question of Ann, a competitor that she is. We also have another expert with us, a famous Russian expert, William Rolosolinsky, right? Isn't that how it's pronounced? Listen, Bill, let's talk a little bit about what the American teams really have to do to beat this Soviet club, a team that's dominated international women's competition for years.
They have to use their assets. Quickness, speed, quickness, speed. Now, the Russians have the edge on the side, so they're going to have to use full court pressure, run whenever they have a chance, but they're going to do something that they haven't done well before. They're going to have to execute the half-court offense. That means good passing and good movement without the ball. If they can do these three things, they are going to be real competitive.
Okay, before we do raise that curtain, before the ball game, Ann Myers had an opportunity to talk to one of the big stars of the U.S. team, CHERYL Miller.
CHERYL, you've had a chance to play the Soviets in '82, where you beat them. '83, you lost. What does this game mean for you?
Well, hopefully it'll mean we'll go ahead on the series. We have a lot of talented people on our team, but they have the experience. But right now, I think they're afraid of us, and they have ample reason to be, because we've come out tonight, and hopefully we'll play well.
You've got some young players on your team that have never met the Soviets. How do they feel about the game?
Well, they're excited. They know that this is a big, tremendous challenge for us, and they're really excited to play against the big 7-footer. And I'm excited because I'm going to be on the outside, but I think it's going to be a great game.
Wish you a lot of luck tonight.
Thank you very much, Andy.
And CHERYL Miller, indeed, has been a real catalyst in this team's success. 4-0 records for both of these ball clubs. And, of course, one of the big stories is going to be the play of Ulyana Semyonova, the 7'2" center for the Soviet Union. She will be number 10. She is not starting the ball game, and she had a great game against Brazil, who were ready to pull off a major upset yesterday, Ann. But Ulyana came in and did a great job. Let's take a quick look at the lineups right now. For the United States of America, Teresa Edwards and Cammie Etheridge will be the guards. Ann Donovan, CHERYL Miller, and Katrina McLean will be in the front line. For the Soviet Union, it is going to be Olga Buryakina, one of the guards. She'll be teamed in the backcourt along with Valena Tornikidou. Then in the center position, it's going to be Larisa Koriksha. In the forward positions, it is going to be number 6. That will be Alicia BAREL, and she will have her running mate in the backcourt, in the front court, Galina Kundravatova. And that is the head coach of the Soviet Union, Vadim Kapanov, the head coach of the United States team, of course, Kay Yao from North Carolina State University, her able assistants, Marianne Stanley from Old Dominion, and Sylvia Hatchell from Francis Marion College.
First of all, Rick, don't get mad at me because I'll probably be calling number 10 Ulyana Semyonova. That's all I've known her as. And Semyonova probably won't play as many minutes at 34 years old. They try and save her, but when they do use her, they use her wisely.
Ann Donovan from Old Dominion played in Japan since she's gone out of college. She has the height advantage at 6'8" right now over the 6'4.5" Koriksha. Quickly to Edwards on the tip. CHERYL Miller can't handle the pass, but the United States maintains control. They have used that tip-off play in every game, and it's worked very well for them. Packed house here at Druzhba, which is friendship in the Soviet language. Edwards, big game last night with 21, and she started it off last night. She starts it off tonight.
I think she really has to take control of the offense. She's one of their key players for the United States.
A lot of the keys from Edwards has come on the defensive end as well. Just inside three-point range, the outside shot by Kundravatova. Edwards, traveling call. For those of you who have not seen international competition, they have a few rule changes. The 30-second clock is in effect. The officials do not have to handle the ball on all violations, so you'll see the teams get the ball on the sideline and get it up the court very quickly. Very fast-paced game, also a very physical game. That's BAREL for the Soviet Union. CHERYL Miller on her. The U.S. will employ pressure all over the court, especially after made baskets. The hook by BAREL. Let's see, they call 3 seconds underneath. They are very quick with the whistle on 3 seconds, and there's the no handling of the ball. Edwards to Donovan. Knocked away by BAREL. The Soviet Union, very quick of foot. Miller knocks it away. Miller, one-on-one. To McLean.
Good hustle by the Americans. The steal by Miller at half court really was the key.
Bill CHERYL has been a real force defensively, not only offensively in this Goodwill game competition.
Well, she's used most of her very skills to good advantage to this tournament, Rick. She's used a little of everything.
Three-point try, counted from the outside. Shevchenko, she has all 5 of the points now for the Soviet Union. They have a 4-4 on the scoreboard, but I thought the official had signaled for a three-pointer. Good pass inside, Edwards to McLean. Edwards again, and McLean again. She'll go to the free throw line. The foul is going to be, I believe, against BAREL. Yes, number 6 for the Soviet Union. Now they put 5 up. It was a three-point try. Timeout on the court. The United States trailing the Soviet Union 5-4, 18:01 left here in the first half. And there's McLean going up on the replay, and the foul by number 6, BAREL. You're looking at Katrina McLean from the University of Georgia. She stands 6 feet 2 inches tall. She missed her first free throw opportunity, and now a chance to tie this game. And we are all tied at 5. 18 minutes left to play in the first half. This is the game for the gold medal in the Goodwill Games competition. Both teams undefeated at 4-0. Edwards reaches in, knocks it away from Brita, and gets called for the foul. Well, you saw Uliana on the right side of your screen and some of the other Soviet team members.
United States is going to come out and play tough, aggressive defense, but they've also switched it a little bit where Ann Donovan is going to sag in a little bit, and that's the kind of defense they played against Brazil.
Tammy Etheridge goes for the steal, and she pays the price as Tourniquet knocks one in for the Soviets to give them a 2-point lead.
And Tourniquet is a surprise starter for the Soviet team. Usually number 9 starts.
Yes, Lakovleva, number 9, had an outstanding game yesterday against Brazil. Hit 2 big three-pointers.
But no confidence, Rick.
That's right. McLean inside. Again, McLean. And Donovan uses her height. And the offensive board is a big factor right now for the United States team. They're working very well in there.
Aggressive play by the Americans, staying with it. Katrina McLean, they call her Tree. That's her nickname.
We're tied at 7.
Well, they're going to have to play it tough because they're not going to get anything from the referees. I can guarantee you that.
That's the one thing the players were worried about, is how the officials were going to call the game.
BAREL from the outside. Miller with the rebound. She had 13 in the game against Brazil last night. I mean, in the game against Bulgaria last night. She is a force all over the court. She didn't shoot particularly well, but she still came up with over 20 points. That's CHERYL Miller. Nice inside move. McLean. And it goes out to Tourniquet. That's Buriakina.
Soviets are bringing the ball up nice and fast.
Yeah, they have a good 5-man fast break, and if you're not back on really make the transition game, then they're going to burn you with it.
And reaching in, committing the foul, CHERYL Miller for the United States. That will send BAREL, number 6, to the free throw line as head coach Vadim Kapanov of the Soviet Union yells out instructions to his ball club.
And what's creating that fast break for the Soviets is the Americans are sending 3-4 people to the defense or the offensive boards, and nobody's getting back.
BAREL is 26 years old. She's 6'2" and 3/4. She hails from Moscow. She was a team high scorer, or is the team high scorer after the 4 games in this competition with 56 points. That's 6th best in the tournament. She also leads the team in assists.
She hasn't missed a free throw yet.
Perfect from the line in the tournament. Soviets by 2. Tammy Etheridge. No foul. We told you this is a very physical game.
And an unusual shot selection by Tammy Etheridge, who really doesn't shoot that much.
BAREL blocked by Ann Donovan, who leads all players with blocks. She now has 11 in the competition. 16-13 left to play, first half. The United States trailing the Soviet Union 9-7 in the game for the gold. Rick Barry along with Ann Myers and Bill Russell. Another block by Ann Donovan. However, she's called for the foul. That will send CHERYL to the free throw line for the Soviets.
The Soviets are doing a good job as far as taking the ball to the hoop and trying to create some fouls. There's 3 fouls on the Americans.
Now, there was less contact on that play than on the play when Cammie Etheridge went in, and yet the foul was called against Ann Donovan, and Cammie got nothing. So, Bill, you were exactly right saying that we will not get any breaks, the U.S. team, that is, in this game. Last night, they had to beat 7 people, the 5 players and the 2 officials against Bulgaria.
And that's the way it usually happens in any kind of competition with the Americans.
Donovan with the rebound. Soviet Union leading by 3 points. 16 minutes left to play. McLean can't handle it inside.
They're looking for McLean down low, but the shot that's also open is that little high post shot.
That Ann Donovan
is not the player to shoot it.
Maybe she should take a step in.
That's Buryakina, the playmaker for the Soviet Union team. Teresa Edwards with the quick hands. She leads all of the players in the competition in steals, playing exceptionally aggressive out on the court. She has 13 steals in the competition.
Okay, Yao has put Teresa Edwards on Buryakina because of defensive purposes. Teresa Edwards will try and release after a shot is taken.
There's one of your fans, Bill, that Boston Celtic hat on we saw. Tourniquetou loses the handle. Cammie Etheridge does the same. No turnover. CHERYL Miller gets the paratrooper club member and will go to the free throw line as she was able to get Tourniquetou up in the air. And you always pay dues when you join that club.
This crowd is so loud, I can't tell when a whistle's being blown.
Head coach Kay Yao trying to get her team to play the type of game that will bring the goal to the United States of America. She's done an exceptional job with this group.
She's also concerned about this game so far, Rick, as far as the Soviets being on their home court. And she feels that's to their advantage.
We have a lot of Americans in attendance, a lot of American flags. I saw Paul Hornan sitting behind one of them as CHERYL Miller finally gets on the scoreboard, and a lane violation on the part of CHERYL. Number 14 will give CHERYL another opportunity to cut into that Soviet lead.
The United States has really been having a difficult time at the free throw line. They're only shooting 69%.
And they've gotten more free throws than anyone else, and they can ill afford to have that happen against a fine team like the Soviet Union. 15-20 remaining here in the first half. The United States trailing by 2. Cindy Brown will be coming in for the U.S. team on the next opportunity. That's Tourniquetou against Cammie Etheridge. CHERYL. That's BAREL. BAREL from 14. Foul. McLean reaching in. There's Cindy Brown. Cindy's had some international experience. She was on, what, the 1985 World University Games team with several of the other players in this team, wasn't she, Ann?
And in that World University Game tournament, I get with McLean, Jennifer Gillum, Cammie Etheridge. All 4 of them played on that team. But also, the Soviets won the gold, United States winning the silver, and Semenova was not at that tournament. So the Soviets really are a better team as far as running-wise without her in the game.
BAREL has been on the national team for the Soviet Union since 1980.
She missed a free throw.
Finally. And she makes a big steal.
And she leads their team in steals.
Also in assists. She's played outstanding ball for the Soviet team. That's CHERYL. Knocked out of bounds by Tourniquetou over the back of Brown. Brown wanted the foul, but you won't get that. They hold up play because the substitute was ready to come in, and that is coming in Clarissa Davis, the MVP of the NCAA Women's Championship University of Texas team. 2 of her teammates, Cammie Etheridge, is on the ball club, as well as Fran Harris. The undefeated champions, we should say. That's Cammie with the ball. CHERYL Miller has been off to a slow start offensively. She normally comes out very quickly. Clarissa Davis, CHERYL Miller, and it goes to Edwards. Edwards. No basket, they say. The foul on Tourniquetou. They do not have the continuation rule that's in effect in NBA competition, so that will be U.S. ball on the sideline. Here it comes again.
That's a great drive by Teresa Edwards going to her left. She just blows right by the Soviets, and they get caught reaching.
Playing defense with their hands and not their feet.
From 18, that's Edwards. Teresa Edwards. She has
the ball game.
With 14:20 remaining.
Just seems like a long first 6 minutes.
BAREL travel, no call. Clarissa Davis battling on the board to Etheridge. Back comes the United States. Soviet Union back very quickly. Cammy with a 15-footer. Cheryl. And a foul against CHERYL. And Cheryl battling very aggressively on the offensive boards. And that's the one area that's keeping the United States in this game right now, I think, Ann.
Well, they're being so aggressive. That's a great rebound by CHERYL Miller. But again, Cammy Etheridge, Rick, you talked to her. She's taking some shots.
Well, what she was doing is coming on the break, right, Bill, and never shooting the ball. So the defenders were just sloughing back in and creating a problem for passing lanes. And so if she makes a couple of shots, she can open things up. She did it last night against Bulgaria as Clarissa Davis misses another one, a very bad shot. And Clarissa, I think, is trying too hard out there. And in fact, you said that before the ball game. You felt that. And the shot by Tourniqueto, no good. That's CHERYL. Blocked. Sydney Brown. Oriakina controls. They say it's backcourt violation.
Great break for the United States. Cindy Martin makes a super play defensively blocking that shot. And in talking about Clarissa Davis, Rick, she's the youngest player on the team at 19, and this is her first international experience.
We should say that all the girls wanted us to say hello to their families back in the States, and Clarissa, a special big hello to her mom.
That's right.
Can I say hi to mine?
Sure.
Hi, Mom.
You say hi to all of our families. CHERYL Miller. And she looked like she was hit on that play. She wanted the call. She doesn't get it. It will go over to the Soviet Union.
She almost looks like she's trying to create a little bit too much and try and draw a foul, and it's not going her way. Instead of just going straight up,
there's a play.
The shot.
Right across the arm.
Fouled.
She got fouled, yeah.
Whacked her right across the right arm. No call, right in front of the officials. And that's the type of inconsistency you have to learn to live with playing in international competition.
She got away with it at SC.
Right, we talked to CHERYL also because what she's been trying to do in the games is we watched the play come back again, and BAREL reaches in right there across the arm against CHERYL, and the official, I mean, you couldn't have a better view of it than that play there. No call. But we talked to her. She has been trying when she gets in close, and so a lot of the players, Kay Yao was saying, trying to jump into players, creating contact, hoping to get the foul. Well, they're not getting the foul, and as a result, their shooting percentage has been atrocious in certain situations in close, and Kay has said, listen, go up and take the shot and try to make it. Don't worry about taking up the slack and getting contact. We have a little discussion going on down there. We'll try to find out what's going on. I don't know whether it's a problem with the clock or who has possession of the ball, but as soon as we can find out, we'll let you know.
Competency of the officials.
If that's the case, we might have a very long delay.
Kay got a handshake out of it. I don't know what that means.
And I think you have where the officials are from. What countries are they from? One is from Greece, I believe.
Yes, and the other is from Czechoslovakia, I believe.
Well, that is not good news.
They're not from the United States.
Well, we've got it straightened out. And we have CHERYL with the ball and the full court pressure by the United States. 10 seconds on the play. They didn't get it over. That ball was not over.
He wasn't counting.
He wasn't counting. It was down to 20 seconds. They had not crossed the half-court line.
And now,
5-second violation. Turnover for the Soviet Union. You must move the ball within 5 seconds.
bad pass.
Clarissa with the save. Cammy with the save.
It's a bad pass over in the corner.
Tied at 10. 13 minutes left to play in the first half. It has not been an exceptionally well-played game. I think both teams a little tense. Cammy. She should have taken that shot. She tried to force it to Cindy. Good save. Shot clock is at 7.
Somebody better shoot it.
Three-point try. Edwards got it. The first three-point shot that the United States has made.
Right before we came up here, Rick, I went to Kay. I said, are you guys going to try any three-point plays? And she goes, not that I know of.
Well, there's one that she didn't know of, but she loved the result. 7 for Edwards. The United States leads by 3. Their biggest lead now in the ball game as they battle for the goal. Mariakina misses inside. Edwards doing it all. She leads the break. 3 against 3. Edwards is open on the left. She didn't see her. Now she does. And wisely, they set it up as the Soviets do a good job with their transition. Obviously, they've scouted, and we're worried about the Americans' fast break.
Well, really, throughout the tournament, the Soviets have not been shooting very well. They've only been shooting 39% from the floor. And now they're shooting a lot better against the Americans.
Shot clock is down to 6. Edwards again. Teresa Edwards. 3 seconds. No basket. Kay Yao not pleased with that.
I think offended is the correct word for the way she feels right now.
Now, that out-of-bounds play, you only get 3 seconds to bring the ball back into the play. And again, the official wasn't counting.
That's CHERYL. So about 18 feet, Undefeated.
And she hasn't missed.
1 point lead to the United States. Edwards loses it. CHERYL Miller on the floor, showing the hustle that she's shown throughout the tournament. And we need to get her on track as we have Ulyana Semyonova coming in number 10, along with Yakovleva. So obviously the Soviet coach trying to make a little change in his playing by bringing a faster team out there and now bringing in some of his offensive power.
Inside, outside. Number 9 is a good outside shooter that does not mind putting it up.
That's the understatement of the century. This woman has no conscience. She'd be a great NBA outside shooter.
They had a tough game against Brazil, and we see the replay with Teresa Edwards losing control of it and with the jump ball coming up. But number 9, as you said, against Brazil, the Soviets were losing, and she came back with 2 3-pointers right in a row.
That was the catalyst to get things going, and then Ulyana Semyonova took over from there. She went 10 for 10 from the field with 12 rebounds. CHERYL controls it. It goes to Edwards. To McLean at the foul against Ulyana. So right away they get a foul on the Soviet center, and that's what they need to do. And you said that was important to challenge her.
Well, I was
And she doesn't handle pain that well, Rick. I want to tell you.
She got hit in the face, and she's holding on to her jaw right now.
Well, she might give it back to somebody, too.
Well, I could say that the tree fell.
I was talking to the players before the game because I have played against some of these players. And what you have to do against Julie is just take her right through her. In one game, we had gotten her to get 4 fouls in about 3 minutes if you just attack at her. And that's exactly what Katrina McLean said she's going to do.
She has very bad lateral movement, so if you go laterally against her, she has a real problem. Of course, the big thing defensively is to not let her get deep position and to be sure and screen her off the boards because she gets tons of rebounds and she cannot jump. She never gets airborne. She gets airsick.
And she can shoot it when she gets it offensive board.
Nice touch. She has a nice
touch. She's got a soft touch. In both the 80 and the 76 Olympics, she led in scoring.
BAREL from 18 feet. 1 point lead for the United States. 11:15 remaining here in the first half. It's been a close game all the way. And Donovan back in, and she challenges Ulyana. You can see the rebound and the foul called against McLean, reaching in, and Ulyana, again, without leaving the ground, got the rebound.
Now that's, I think, is a better play for the Americans with Katrina McLean at that high post position. She has a nice pass inside to Donovan, but not as strong as McLean to go up, and she gets fouled going into Semyonova. But Katrina's got to look for that little shot at the high post.
BAREL against McLean. McLean with 2 personal fouls. From 16 feet, it comes up short. That was the shot by Undefeated. Fran Harris, who has come in, leads the break to Etheridge. Etheridge with the left hand. Nice shot, Amy Etheridge. Good fast break.
And an excellent fast break.
Fran Harris did the smart thing, stopping at the free throw line.
Teammates working together. University of Texas, they played on that championship team. Now, Etheridge has the job of playing against a 6'1 3/4"
shooter.
Yakovleva, and there they go.
3
seconds. 3 seconds. There's the shot, and that's the kind of shots they wanted to take. Undefeated with the rebound in the left hand. Nice move.
But did you see how long Semyonova was in the key and nothing was called?
Normally they call 3 seconds very quickly, but obviously Big Uli gets an extra second. Coming up on the 10-minute mark here in the first half. United States leading by 1. McLean baseline. Katrina McLean having an outstanding game. 7 points she has. United States leading by 3. Inside of 10 now to play.
She's shooting 65% from the floor.
She's been the most effective offensive performer for the United States percentage-wise. Again from the outside, Undefeated.
Good move, penetration, pass off the short jumper.
The Soviets are unconscious too, though.
She has 11, and Donovan on the trail. Etheridge is going to be called for the offensive foul on that play.
Well, that's an interesting call right there because backpedaling were the Soviets, and Cammy Etheridge went right into him, and he felt she charged, which another international call.
CHERYL Miller back in the game, and Edwards getting a rest right now. Very surprising because Undefeated has not really been a major factor offensively, and she has been the force behind the Soviet team, 11 of their 18 points thus far.
And that's where the experience is coming through for him. She's 29 years old. They've got 7 players that are 25 years and over.
They've got Semyonova far out, and there she is. Count it, 3-point try, and that is Yakovleva who hit those 2 3-pointers against Brazil that Ann talked about, and she'll fire them up from out there, and that gives the Soviets the lead at the 9:20 mark, first half, 21-19. Fran Harris. Nice play.
the kind of penetration you need to get right to crease of that zone, and you can get a lot of clear shots right there.
Tied at 21. 8:55 remaining first half. BAREL against Katrina, and Katrina with the rebound. Quickly, they have a break opportunity. 3 against 2. CHERYL to Etheridge. Etheridge to CHERYL. Count it. The United States leads by 2.
Yeah, great break.
That was terrific. There you see Kay Yao and her assistants. That was Sylvia Hatchell standing with her, and it was Marion Stanley sitting down as they're happy with the way the U.S. is executed. Almost the turnover. Again, this time it will drop in for Kundratova.
And McLean another rebound.
Etheridge. Wide open. Nobody was guarding her. Ann Donovan hits though. Ann Donovan with 4 points. The U.S. team leads by 4. Their biggest lead. Timeout being called now by the Soviet coach as he signals the bench that he would want one on the next opportunity. You have to signal the scorer's table in international competition. You just can't call it. The pressure by the U.S. That's Uliana. And doing a good job getting on her left side. That's the kind of shot she wanted to take. That's outside of her range. Etheridge cannot save it as the pass hits out of bounds. Now the timeout by the Soviet team. We have 7:42 left in the first half. The United States is leading the Soviets 25-21.
We'll return with more Turner Network.
And let's take another look at that great fast break the United States team had just a little while ago.
Well, to start it off, Katrina McLean with a great rebound, getting it out on the break. And Etheridge bringing it back to CHERYL Miller, filling in the lane. Super fast break, and Katrina McLean off that rebound started it.
Back to live action. United States leading by 4. Yakovleva. Good position by Ann Donovan to keep Uliana off the board. And the Soviet Union comes back with it. That's Belashevka into the game for the Soviet Union on that last timeout. BAREL, again, Donovan with a good position. And Donovan doing a nice job against Big Uli.
Did a real nice job. She got pushed last time, and nothing was called.
Fran Harris, she loves the baseline. Not that time. BAREL. The lead pass down the court by Moravova, who has also come in with Belashevka for the Soviet Union. Moravova is number 11. That's Yakovleva with the ball, number 9. Uliana and BAREL make up the 5 players for the Soviet Union. Belashevka into Uliana, blocked by Ann Donovan. All right, and nice play.
Now, I don't know if you just missed it, but Uliana just hit Ann Donovan right in the mouth.
With a nice elbow.
CHERYL Miller. Katrina McLean. Uliana tipped it right back to CHERYL.
Uli doesn't like people blocking her shots. I blocked a shot one time. She had it down low, I think.
I was going to say, she must have had it real low.
I can jump.
CHERYL Miller against Belashevka. Shot clock is at 15 right now for the United States team. Fran Harris wide open. She gets it back. Blocked by Uliana. Foul reaching in against Fran Harris. That will be the 7th against the United States team. The penalty comes into effect at 8. The Soviet Union team with 5. Let's watch the block by Donovan against Uliana.
Well, the ball goes down low, and Donovan doing a good job. But watch Uliana just use her shoulders a little bit. Donovan keeps her position, and she's excited about it.
She was pumped. Almost as pumped as you are up here, and it's the first time you sat down. You've been standing the whole time.
You know, Uliana has been shooting 78% from the tournament, and she's 0 for 3 tonight.
A very concerned head Soviet coach, Vadim Kapanov, looking on, getting the dry mouth. You can tell when you start licking the lips and the mouth puckers up that it's a bit tense. There you see the play down there with reaching in Fran Harris with the foul and the rebound.
That goes with coaching. That's part of the deal you get when you get a lot of nights with dry mouth.
And again, the officials having a discussion with some of the other players. Nancy, we can't get her to sit down. I mean, she's so psyched up here and pumped up. What a competitor.
Yeah, I'm excited for him.
Well, I thought you used up all that energy on the tennis court this morning, Ann.
Hey, let's not talk about that. I was too strong out there today.
Kay Yao discussing things, and some of the other people on the United States group, Barbara Gill, the manager out of Johnson County Community College. The trainer is Karen DeBoer, affectionately known as Toby, out of the University of Wisconsin in lacrosse. Dr. Michael Smith Jr. from St. Petersburg, Florida. An official traveling, Darlene May, out of Cal State Poly of Pomona. And the chief of the mission is Lynn Norenberg, the assistant executive director of the ABA USA. That makes up the U.S. contingent. They have done a very fine job.
Good defensive guards in for the United States, Cooper and Edwards.
United States leading by 4, 5:55 to go. Into the game, Cynthia Cooper, she went for the breakaway to get up
get the pass. She was so quick that
the Soviet girl tried to grab her.
Moravova.
She got a bust in the mouth for it, too.
And that's a smart play, really, in international rules, because a lot of times collegiate leads or the gals, when they're playing, they'll foul when somebody's going in for the layup.
However, though, Ann, that's an intentional foul that was ruled. So if she gets the two shots at the line, an intentional foul. So that's
I think that Soviet girl knew she was in a foot race and she couldn't win.
Hey, the only girl I know, two girls in the American team make Ann seem like she has no energy whatsoever. It would be Coop at the free throw line and CHERYL Miller. And Spoon, yes, Weatherspoon, Teresa Weatherspoon. The official designated cheerleader for the U.S. club. Good rebound off that missed free throw opportunity. Biggest lead of the game for the United States. 26-21, Cooper. Cynthia Cooper, look at her, she pumped. The United States with their biggest lead by 7, 28-21.
She's a great spark plug for this ball club. In the NCAA championship against Texas, she scored 27 points.
Good ball movement. Belashovka was open, but CHERYL comes over traveling, and they finally call it.
Good defense, smart play by the Americans by not getting off the ground.
They tried to get the break, but what happened is they ran too far out of bounds up the sideline, and the official says, come on back.
You know what's happening, too? As soon as the Americans get the ball, you can hear a lot of whistling going on. Cooper makes a nice playground move. That's where she's from, the playgrounds in L.A.
That's it. Do the double clutch.
But what's happening, the Americans get the ball, and you hear all the whistling. I know I can't tell whether a foul's being called or not, but whistling in other countries is booing. And there's a lot of Soviets here.
United States trying to go for their biggest lead, leading by 7 right now. And a bad pass, the part of the game that the American team is the most deficient at and was a big concern of KL.
Especially in the half-court game, Rick. They are, when they're running plays, they just don't pass well.
That was a good shot of Cammie Etheridge. Good defense by CHERYL. They forced the Soviet Union team far outside. Shot clock going down now on 10 seconds. Kundravatova. Good position, and Donovan, and once again she clears.
Great
That's Teresa Edwards. Edwards, all the way. Nice move, and she went right around Moravova. And look at Cammie Etheridge, and the rest of the U.S. team up cheering on as they have their biggest lead, 30-21 at the 4:35 mark. First half.
I think Teresa Edwards is one of the best guards I've ever seen play the game. We've seen another good one for Brazil, Paula da Silva, who handles the ball just as well.
Knocked away by Teresa Edwards, but they call her for the foul, reaching in. That will be the penalty. And Yakovleva will go to the free throw line. Look at Ann Donovan with position here.
Well, she tips the ball to herself, too, which is a nice move. And this is one of the quickest outlets I've ever seen her give.
And she is really playing an outstanding game against Uliana as Edwards finishes off the play. An outstanding effort and a great camera shot by the camera person who was trained by our producer, Frank Belmont. He's been working with him all the time, and he got him ready for the big game. Nice going, Frank. And I also want to thank the rest of your crew for the fine job. John Gallagher, John Hershey, and Elizabeth Sjogren for doing an excellent job. We've really enjoyed working with you. And this has been an exciting game for the United States thus far as Jennifer Gillum, who has come in, retrieves that rebound. She's number 13 for the United States. The Soviet team will not give up. They trailed by 14 in the first half against Brazil last night to come back and win. Gillum, no shot.
3 seconds, I believe.
3-second violation being called. As we told you, they have a fast whistle for the jerseys in white, but the red jerseys seem to get just a little bit more time in there.
They like that color, white.
They can't get overly excited because I believe in the 83 World Championships, the Americans led by 9 at the half of one of those games and lost 5-1. Good defensive play. Cooper, the lead pass to Edwards. She's got CHERYL on the left. She saw her. That was a terrific fast break again, as they had good court awareness and good ball movement.
But great defensive plays by the United States. They're switching off well, and Cynthia Cooper did a super job.
That's what they're using, that full court pressure. Got to be travel. That full court pressure, and that's giving them a good layup. But that's the thing they're using, their quickness and their speed.
Look at the nice pass as she drew Yakovleva to her, and Cynthia made the beautiful pass to CHERYL Miller to finish it off.
And plus good body control by Teresa Edwards by not going in for a charge.
Bill, how can you say that was traveling? Now, you told me that if you take the step at the end of your play after you pick the dribble up, you can get away with it. That's what she did.
She did.
That's right. No travel.
Still traveling.
It was, but so what? She got the free throw line.
It's been a long time since Bill played international ball.
This is true. It's been a long time since Bill...
I learned this rule. You're allowed after you pick that ball up that extra step. But that was an extra step and a half.
And the Soviet Union all of a sudden having trouble at the free throw line as they trail by 10. Edwards to Cooper. to Donovan. Jump ball. Kariksha and Ann Donovan. We have 3:32 remaining here in the first half. Coming into the game will be a Gerlitz, number 15. She comes in for BAREL.
This is her first year on the national team.
Now, the difference between the American team and the Brazilian team, who the Russians fell behind, is that the American team is a lot bigger in size.
And Jennifer Gillum cannot buy a basket. She has not been able to get a drop throughout this tournament. She had a wide open layup and missed it. I think she's only shooting about 11%. And Cooper again with the good move. Cynthia Cooper.
And she was the 16th leading scorer in the nation last year at Mississippi.
Well, she had a big game in the finals against Texas. Of course, she's a teammate of CHERYL Miller from USC. And she was the outstanding player in that game, even though they lost to Texas. Bariakina gets it down low on the baseline to Gerlitz, so she wastes no time popping it in. She's 6'3.5", number 15 for the Soviet Union.
That was a good shot she made there. That's a tough shot when you're by yourself and you kind of stay out of that lane.
10-point lead for the United States. 2:45 left. Miller open underneath. And she'll go to the free throw line. The foul will be against Gerlitz. Kay Yao has to be pleased with the effort of her ball club.
She's doing a great job moving without the ball.
She really has. She doesn't have a lot of points, but as Bill said, she's doing so many more things out there.
Now, amazingly, there was less contact in that play than another time when she drove in front of that other official, and this time she's at the free throw line. So that's a perfect example of the inconsistency. And, Frank, I want to tell you, you did a great job with this cameraman, because these are the best shots that we've had in all 5 games that we've been covering.
Well, Frank, at least we know you were over here doing something.
CHERYL Miller now with 7 points. The leading scorer for the United States team right now, Teresa Edwards with 9. Katrina McLean also has 7. 12-point lead for the Americans.
The American team is a much better defensive team than the Brazilian team that the Russians came back against.
Yakovleva kicks it out. Traveling. Double dribble, they call. No traveling, double dribble. That was against Kunjavatova, who is the leading scorer for the Soviets with 11.
The reason I keep bringing up the Brazilian team, a lot of people here comparing the American team and the Brazilian team in style. But the differences are the American team is much better defensively.
Brazilians
better rebounding team.
Brazilians gave up more points than anyone else in this tournament, even though they scored more. Edwards misses from the outside. Yakovleva with the rebound. Kunjavatova inside to Kariksha. Kunjavatova taken away by Jennifer Gillum.
And Edwards.
2 against 2. Edwards, Cooper. They say it's going to be Soviet ball off the foot of Cynthia Cooper.
Not one of the better breaks run by the Americans.
Remember, tonight, more basketball coming your way. Men's basketball is part of our Goodwill Games coverage. The World Championships of men's basketball will come to you as Cooper is going to have an easy one as Bariakina fell down. And Cynthia Cooper increases the lead for the United States team. The men will be playing against Italy, another tough team in their grouping. They're both 4-0, so that action will be coming your way as part of our coverage of Goodwill Games, the World Men's Basketball Championship.
I think that Coach Yao is doing an excellent job in putting the teams out there that can do the kind of things it takes to keep staying in the ball game. When you got to keep a certain amount of firepower, a certain amount of defense, a certain amount of rebounding, and in rotating people, you have to be careful that you don't have that you can keep that combination out there. So far, she's done it real good for the whole tournament.
Yakovleva misses. Miller with the rebound. We have 1 minute and 10 seconds left to play in the first half. The United States enjoying their biggest lead of the game, 38-24.
Well, one of the games the Americans had in this tournament, CHERYL Miller was so exhausted, she was so pumped up for the game, she has to be taken out. And she has, as far as Kay Yao substituting. The players are really starting to play better together.
Fran Harris, Sidney Brown, and also Cammie Etheridge coming in for the U.S. team. And Bill, the big thing, I think, is Ann Donovan did such a good job on Uliana that the coach had to take her out. She was totally ineffective.
Really, and that's one thing that a couple other teams didn't have. And with only 1 minute left, I think it's a good idea to get some of the key players out of there so that they don't get possible foul trouble at the last minute when they can only have to shoot once or twice more.
You see the play knocked out of bounds by the Soviets. And again, you said Coach Yao has made the right moves throughout this tournament. And she has done it again. And as Bill just pointed out, to give her key players some rest. Those who have played a lot of minutes. CHERYL Miller, of course, one of them. Teresa Edwards, another. Knocked out of bounds will be his U.S. ball. 43 seconds left to play. There's 16 on the shot clock. The United States is leading 38-24. It has been a close game for the majority of the first half, but the U.S. has broken open in the last 6 minutes. That's Cindy Brown against Gerlich. Foul against Gerlich. Cindy Brown will get to the free throw line and a chance to increase that American team lead.
It wasn't a great shot selection by Cindy Brown, kind of off balance, but she did draw the foul here, and she's going to the free throw line. Minimal body contact, so that time we get a break actually on the call.
That'll be the day, Rick.
Cindy Brown is 6 feet 1 inches tall. She's out of Long Beach State by way of Portland, Oregon. .15 lead. Good save by Gerlich.
Number 15 just made. I didn't think she's going to be able to make that one.
Gerlich goes around Donovan. Cindy Brown comes over, and Cindy will be called for the foul.
Some of these women are quicker than they look.
You called it on Donovan.
On Donovan. So Ann Donovan picks up, well, that's her first personal foul only, so that's not really a problem.
Now, we should get up to last. We got 22 seconds. We should get the last shot.
You should hold it.
Well, that's what Lute Olson was thinking when this American team played against Puerto Rico in the World Basketball Championships in the game last night, that they should hold on to the ball. And they almost gave that game away, so they dodged the real bullet against Puerto Rico, and now they have a tough match against Italy. And, of course, that action will be coming to you tonight as part of our Goodwill Games coverage. And Bill and I, tomorrow we'll be off to Spain to cover a lot of that action for you, so should be very exciting as the men's team seems to be improving as they have an opportunity to play together, just as the women's team has done, the women's team. 4 seconds left. Tammy Etheridge can't drop it in, and it's still going to be U.S. ball with 1 second remaining, so we'll see if they can get one last opportunity up there and go into halftime with more than a 14-point advantage. Katrina McLean, great try. And the American team has played an outstanding first half. They lead the Soviet Union 39-25.
Hope you're enjoying the women's basketball game for the gold here in the Goodwill Games, the awaited matchup between the United States and the Soviet Union. They've been saying that the United States team has been coming together bit by bit each game they played in this tournament. And in the first half, Nick Charles, it looks as if that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah, speed and quickness is really getting it done. Bill Russell pinpointed the keys, Bob, and the U.S. pressure defense, they're trapping, they're double teaming the ball, creating a lot of easy baskets for themselves. I think that's obviously one key. The Soviets trying to run with some success. They are popping that outside shot, and they stayed close. But the defense is creating the mistakes. The Soviets are making a lot of mistakes, and then wham, it's on the run, and the Americans go in before the Soviets could set up any kind of zone. Soviets play very good zone defense to compensate for their lack of quickness, but they haven't been able to orchestrate that. I've also been impressed with the half-court execution, as Bill Russell pointed out before the game. The Americans have to execute the half-court offense. They've been doing a decent job.
I might mention that Uliana Semyonova, by the way, the name Americans have known the big 7-footer for the Soviet Union for years is Semenova. The correct Russian pronunciation is Semyonova, as you've been hearing Rick Barry say, and that's how we refer to her. She has not had a good first half, as you saw, and Donovan has dominated her there. However, Semyonova had 22 points and 12 rebounds in the previous game to this one. She could explode. This game isn't over yet. We'll be back to continue with the Goodwill Games in just a moment. Please stay with us.
'86 Goodwill Games have been brought to you by Snickers Bar. Packed with peanuts, Snickers really satisfies.
The matchup we were all looking forward to in this game was between the American center Ann Donovan and Uliana Semyonova, the center for the Soviet Union. Ann Donovan's winning that matchup. She's only scored 4 points, but has been a presence on defense. Ann Donovan is 6 feet 8 inches tall, and she's the first American woman basketball player to combine height and skill in equal proportions. She's been a member of the U.S. national team for 9 years now and spends a good part of each season in Japan, where she's sure of getting world-class competition. More than any single player, Ann Donovan has added a new dimension to the women's game. Here's our Goodwill profile.
My life in Japan is centered completely around basketball, and that's another thing that I've had to adjust to. I'm here strictly to play basketball. Our schedule is pretty difficult, pretty tight. We get up early. We're at the gym in the morning. We practice for a couple hours in the morning. We stay at the company and eat lunch, have a nap time, believe it or not, and then go about a long, hard practice in the afternoon, sometimes 4 or 5 hours. So we're putting in about 8 hours in the gym a day. And after that, we get home and it's video time. We usually scout the other teams with video. So it is basketball here, strictly basketball. Yeah, my height brought about quite a spectacle here. In the United States, I'm used to people staring at me. I'm tall even there. But in Japan, 6'8", and blonde hair and blue eyes, and a female, it's unheard of. So I get quite a lot of attention. And it's okay, I enjoy it. The people are nice here. Most people think the hardest thing is going to be the culture, the food, and the language. And the language was a problem because I didn't have an interpreter at all, so I was completely on my own. And the food was difficult because everything surrounds fish, and I'm not a big fish eater. So that was difficult to adjust to. But I think the biggest thing and the most difficult for me was the thinking. You know, my coach's thinking is so backwards from my own and so backwards from the basketball that we're taught in the United States that was the hardest thing for me. And that took me until this year, 3 seasons for me to really adjust to that. When I first came here, it was, they immediately put you into your age group. They let you know who's your own age and who should be your friends. So I've been put into that group with my own teammates that are my age, and we've gotten along very well. I think despite the language problem, we understand each other from the heart, and that makes it a lot easier. Coming to Japan was probably the best thing I ever did coming out of college. It taught me to be completely dependent upon myself. As a person, it made me stronger, it made me grow up a whole lot. And as a basketball player, it's helped me a lot. I developed in a lot of ways. Speed, for one. To keep up with these guys, I've really had to work on my speed, so that's helped. I think leadership-wise, it's helped. I've learned a lot about myself and have gained a lot of confidence over here, and that's been very important for me.
Ann is a native of Ridgewood, New Jersey. She's 24 years old and is the Old Dominion all-time leading scorer and rebounder. During her college career, she started in 136 consecutive games over a 4-year span and blocked 801 shots. Americans have a 14-point lead at halftime. Back for the U.S.-USSR at Druzhba in just a moment as we continue with the Goodwill Games coverage.
Druzhba, the United States team, pulling off a marvelous first half. They played with great enthusiasm, a very close game through the majority of the first half until the last 6 or 7 minutes when the United States team really exploded, thanks to a great effort by the profile you saw on Ann Donovan, who did a terrific job on Ulyana Semyonova and really made her a non-entity in that first half, Bill.
I think the U.S. defense was as good defense they played in this tournament. The team is, as you know, we said all along, but this team is getting better every time. But that defense, last part of this first half, was just outstanding.
And what that defense has done is created a lot of fast breaks for the United States.
And Donovan to Katrina McLean. That's CHERYL Miller with the ball. Same starting lineup for the team. Cammie Etheridge and Teresa Edwards will be the backcourt combination. That's Edwards. Great move, great pass. What a play. And Donovan finishes it off. And now with 6 points, the United States team enjoying their biggest lead of the game at 16.
And this is the first game that the United States has penetrated to the basket like that.
Yakovleva, who starts the second half, she was on the bench to begin with. The foul on Ann, her third.
And that's the woman with no conscience, Rick.
Speaking, of course, of Yakovleva.
Yes.
She loves to fire it. There's Ann. Yakovleva stayed on the bench until she came in with Uliana when the American team started to take a lead, and the coach was hoping that the same thing that happened against Brazil last night could take place when they fell behind against Brazil. They brought Uliana into the game, and she had a marvelous effort, 24 points, 10 for 10 from the field, 12 rebounds, but she really hasn't done anything so far in this game. She's on the bench right now.
You know, it could be a good move by the Soviets if they can keep going to Ann Donovan and continue to try and get her to pick up her fourth foul, because she's really playing super defense and rebounding well.
Well, I think that Coach Hayal is going to save her by bringing Jennifer Gilliman. She's at the scorer's table now, and save Ann Donovan in case Uliana makes another appearance, which I'm sure she will. 19:20 remaining here in this ball game. The United States up by 15 points.
And Cheryl used a nice push-off there, and she used both hands.
Shot clock down to 6. McLean, nice play on the block by Kariksha of the Soviet Union. That's Buryakina with the ball now, number 8.
Now, the Soviets in the game against Brazil, they shut the Brazilian team down defensively.
There's a breakdown defensively for the U.S. team. That was Kariksha.
Now, we're going to see if the adjustments they made defensively are going to affect the American team as much as it affected the Brazilian team in the last game.
And, of course, the first 5 or 6 minutes of this half could be very important to this U.S. team, not to give any life to the Soviets, who have to be feeling like they've been hit by a buzzsaw. Good block inside by BAREL, and the save by Buryakina, and its last touch by the United States will be Soviet ball on the side.
2 straight turnovers by the Americans. They have to come out and run their half-court game.
They're leading by 13 points. Saw Cheryl just throw the screener Kariksha out of the way. That's the type of game she plays.
But watch the Soviets. They've come out in the second half. They're a little bit more physical. They're using their shoulders, throwing a few elbows here and there. So they're a lot more physical. Good
rebound, and Donovan. Cami Edwards, the Soviets back very well defensively. Cami forces it up and makes the shot.
Cami Edwards. That's exactly what the Americans need, is to score a bucket quick.
That was not the most propitious shot to take in that situation, however. The result was wonderful.
When the coach says, no, great shot.
That's Yakovleva. She gets Cheryl into the paratrooper club. BAREL blocked by Donovan. And Donovan foul against BAREL as Cheryl staying down there and studying her acting, and it paid off.
Well, you know, we know that happens in the Soviet Union now as well as the United States. Whenever someone misses a shot, gets a shot blocked, they immediately go and foul whoever's got the ball.
And I think a bit of frustration starting to show on the part of the Soviet Union team as
Not
they
yet,
are
Rick.
being handled.
Not yet. A couple more minutes.
Okay, let me know when, will you please? I don't want to miss it. Let me know. McLean, good ball movement. McLean again. Look, she's just held by BAREL. No basket. BAREL puts the old hook on her with the left arm.
Maybe, Rick. Maybe you're right.
That's the third personal foul against BAREL. And here comes Uliana.
Well, as I said, you can see the Soviets, they're using their hands a lot more. And BAREL probably would not have gotten caught on that if there was a player behind her.
On the sideline, the United States takes the ball out. 3 quick fouls on the Soviet team.
Cheryl put a move on her.
I think she put the shot in.
No, what she did, she went baseline, and the Soviet was so trying to beat the picks that she's going to beat it past the picks. And Cheryl just reversed on her.
Little butt hook move.
Oh, yeah, that's it, Rick.
That's right. That's to run that play. Take him baseline and spin back. You get him thinking you're going around the picks.
Yes.
And she executed it beautifully, made a tough shot, and finishes off the three-point opportunity. Double figures for CHERYL Miller. First player for the U.S. to be in double figures. Edwards has 9.
I was talking to some people at halftime, and they said, well, CHERYL Miller's not scoring, but she's doing so many other things out there.
It's been a great effort on the part of all of the U.S. girls. Edwards in the paratrooper club, and Buryakina can't finish it off. McLean on the boards, and back comes the United States. 4 against 3. CHERYL leading. On the left is Edwards. Soviets finally fill in, but too late, and McLean lays it in,
now
and Uliana didn't get down.
With Yuli, they can't get back. The 5 transition game is really slowed up when she's in there.
There it is, the biggest lead right now, 20 points for the United States, 48-28, coming with 16:45 left. BAREL cuts into that lead.
Good move she made.
BAREL has 6 points. Wide open, Edwards, and what they do, the U.S. team has Edwards releasing on the shot a lot of times, and that's why she was wide open. You call it cherry picking, basket hanging, but it is a set play by the U.S. team.
Well, the player she's guarding, Buryakina, really doesn't go to the offensive board, so they just send her down.
Buryakina wide open. She blows another layup, a third layup.
And the tree.
McLean gets knocked to the ground. She wanted the foul. BAREL comes back. She can't finish it off. McLean and Miller battle. That's CHERYL controlling.
Blow it up.
And the action hot and heavy underneath the Soviet basket, but the Soviets cannot find the hoop. 50-30, 15-55 remaining in this game. It's been an outstanding effort on the part of the United States women's team. McLean inside. No foul.
It sounds like there's fouls because of the whistling.
U.S., good job. Transition. BAREL wide open, 18 feet. CHERYL Miller on the board. She gets knocked down. They're going to call a Soviet ball as Yakovleva, number 9, just came right over the back of Miller.
And that's what Yakovleva is known for, is her rebounding, and Tammy Etheridge has to do a better job of screening out.
You have to screen out early here. If you screen out late, all you get for your trouble is a bloody nose.
Get some track marks up your back. That's Buriyakina.
Watch the 2 number 9s. They're going at it.
From the outside, a good move by Tornikidu. Now it's an 18-point lead by the United States team. 15-15 remaining in this, the gold medal game of the Goodwill Games competition. Miller against Tornikidu.
Good shot. Didn't go, but it was a good shot.
CHERYL called for reaching in. I mean, that's amazing, Bill. All of that bumping and banging and a little ticky-tack foul like that, they're going to make the call. Coming into the game for the Soviet Union, Shidlauskaya, we have not seen her. It's her first tour of duty right now. Also coming in is Muravova. Muravova has been on the national team since '79. She's number 11 with the ball right now. She's 5'7", 27 years old.
She saw a lot of action against Brazil in the last half yesterday, Rick.
BAREL with Cindy Brown, who came into the U.S. team, all over her. And now let's see how Jennifer Gillum does against Uliana. And Uliana's way out of her range. That's what they need to do. Brown quickly to Etheridge. Etheridge has Edwards on the right, Gillum on the trail. Brown winds up with it. 3-second violation is called.
How do you 3 seconds on a fast break?
Bill, I'll tell you. Listen, you know the rule I always say in the NBA, always expect the unexpected, and this one, always expect the bizarre. 14:40 left to play. The United States team leading 50-32. Some happy coaches sitting there, but they're still concerned. Plenty of time left. Yakovleva, she can't get it to fall. Cindy Brown with the rebound. The Soviet team shot only 35% in the first half. The U.S. team 53.5%. As Fran Harris, who has come in, loses the ball to Yakovleva. Muravova.
Now that was a giveaway there.
Tammy Etheridge and Teresa Edwards are the only 2 starters in the game right now for the United States, so they look a little bit mixed up.
And when they have had the second unit in, they have not played that well in the previous games, and Coach Kayal has been forced to bring CHERYL and Edwards and the rest of the starters back in. That's Teresa Edwards.
The United States a little bit tired right now.
Yakovleva to BAREL.
Great
Cindy
block.
Brown. They say it's off the Soviet team. Quickly, Etheridge will get it in on the sideline. Timeout on the court. We have 13:49 left to play in this game. The United States 50, Soviet Union 34.
We'll
See on that graphic, in that team, CHERYL Miller, who was still in high school, played a key role in that big victory. She had 15 points, and then they beat the Soviet team in '83, the summer of '83, again, winning 76-70 in Kansas City, and CHERYL Miller had 18 points in that game. There's the score now, 16-point lead for the U.S. And Bill, you don't think it's enough right now?
No, this Soviet team worries me, in that they can close you down sometimes defensively, and if they hit those 3-point shots, and they're pretty good.
Cindy Brown.
That's a good move there, though. That's a little better. That leaves a little bit of pressure.
And Donovan has come back in to go up against Semyonova. We have 13:25 remaining. That's BAREL. Cooper into the game also. And a lot of time in the middle, and no 3-second call. I mean, they could have toasted marshmallows that time in there.
And Uli wanted to hold.
The jump ball. Now, you'll see if we can get a wide shot somehow. I don't know. We don't have control, of course, of all the cameras. Perhaps we'll do it with our cameraman under the basket that we're using. She never gets it off the ground. She gets tipped, but it goes to the U.S. team. Etheridge from Cindy Brown. 3 against 3. Cindy gets bumped, no foul, and gets the roll.
Cindy Brown at Long Beach State led her team in block shots, scoring, rebounding, field goal percentage, free throw shooting. She's a great ball player.
BAREL all the way
Went all the way through.
defensive breakdown by the American team that time.
Well, Cindy Brown went for the steal and got behind her, never caught up.
U.S. team leading by 18. 12:45 left to play.
Somebody has to move for the United States.
Shot clock inside of 10. That's Cammie Etheridge. Shot clock is at 5. It's at 2. Donovan. Cindy Brown. And she scores once again. Cindy Brown with 6 quick points, has 7 total in the game. The U.S. team enjoying their biggest lead. This is the 3rd time they've led by 20.
And this by far is the best game that Cindy Brown is playing right now offensively.
The miss on the drive by Moravova. The rebound, Cindy Brown. That name is being used quite often now. She's doing everything. Cammie Etheridge, Donovan, and Cammie Etheridge comes away with it.
All those 12 bodies, she got away with it.
Fran Harris says, let's set things up here. Chance for the biggest lead of the game if they can drop one in here. They find Fran Harris on the right side. Fran again, she's hit as she goes to the basket. That will be the Americans' ball on the sideline. Coming into the game will be...
Did they call on the shot or before the shot?
Before the shot, I believe. Kariksha on the side. Number 14, Kariksha in for BAREL. There she is. She's 6'4½". Member of the national team. She's from Siberia. She's been on the team for 3 years. New 30-second clock, of course. Etheridge to Donovan. And a block from behind by Kariksha, and Cooper gets it back, and Moravova for the Soviet Union. They have 4 against 2. Etheridge is back along with Cooper. Cooper with the block. Kariksha tries to go up. It's stripped by Cindy Brown, and the foul by Cindy Brown. Well, as I said, Cindy's name's being used quite often.
Oh, boy, that would have been nice if she didn't move her lips.
And the
you
first...
could have read what she said then.
First action by Weatherspoon, Teresa Weatherspoon coming into the game. Now, here's what Uliana's doing. You see her here. She's not doing much. She really has not very much mobility, as you can see. And she watches the play, only goes to half court, and really has not been a factor in this game. And back to the Soviet Union has just topped one in to cut that lead to 18 for the United States team. Cooper to Brown on the trail. Nice play.
The Americans are really penetrating towards the basket well right now. As long as they control the tempo of the game and don't get caught in the Soviet Union's running game.
We have 11 minutes left to play. This the game for the goal.
Good defense.
Good help. Oh.
You have to really laugh sometimes. There's Kay Yao looking on.
Annie's not laughing. That's her 4th.
No, she's done an exceptionally wonderful job against Semyonova.
I think I have to get...
From the outside, that was Yakovleva, and another rebound for Ann Donovan. Kay Yao's talking to Katrina McLean right now. Let's see if she comes in, or Jennifer Gillen for Ann. Cindy Brown. Donovan tried to keep it alive. Taken away by Shedlovskaya, number 4. She gets it to Yakovleva. She's looking for that 3-point try. And that basket, they said, would have counted had it gone, as Fran Harris came over and committed the foul. That'll be sending Yakovleva to the free throw line. And it will be McLean indeed coming in. You can see her standing there behind head coach Yao. Katrina enters the game. She scored 9 points in this game. Ann Donovan goes to the bench with only 6 points. However, she's done a wonderful job against Uliana and has also been a factor on the boards and defensively with her intimidation.
You might say she's been quite tall.
And out there's some tall ones.
Uliana yet to score in this game.
No, she got 2.
She did get the easy 2 inside. Yes, that's true. Uliana tries to get to the board, but McLean with her quickness takes it away. Uliana scored early on an offensive rebound. They got to worry about the 5 seconds, and there it was, 5 seconds turnover against the American team.
Well, Teresa Witherspoon really has to get open. She's the one ball handler out there for the United States. Cooper can handle it, but designated point guard Spoon has to get that ball.
From behind, Brown with the block against Kariksha, and the foul will go against Cindy Brown. United States leading 58-38. They led by 14 at the half. And we have 10:03 remaining in this ball game. So they are hanging tough. They've increased that lead, of course, now by 6 points. It'll be cut into by CHERYL, I'm sure. CHERYL Miller goes to the scorer's table to get ready to come into this ball game. You think that the Soviet team is starting to be quite concerned right now, Bill?
Concerned,
but not panicked.
Not frustrated yet.
Of course, tonight, more basketball action. Part of our Goodwill Games coverage, you have the World Basketball Championships for men from Spain, and the United States team goes up against Italy. Probably will be their toughest match. They're both 4-0, although the men's team survived the scare by Puerto Rico last night, winning by 1 point. But right here, the U.S. team in control. Good move, Sydney Brown. And the Soviets have it. Yakovleva with the ball. That's Weatherspoon wide open over her, and that was Shidlowskaya. Shidlowskaya misses from the three-point range, and another rebound for Katrina. Weatherspoon to Cooper.
Almost penetrated too far.
9.5 left to play. Brown to McLean.
A little sloppy right now for the Americans. They have to be a little bit more patient.
They lead by 18. Uliana with the left hand, and they have to overplay her left hand, Bill. They can't let her go that way because that's the only way she likes to go. You have to overplay it. You said that last night against Brazil, that the Brazilians made that mistake. She has 4 now. 16-point lead for the United States team.
And we need a nice little hoop here. Is what we need, Rick. What do you think, Andy?
10 on the shot clock.
I think they need a quick one, and it's got to be a good one. They're not getting any movement offensively whatsoever.
All one-on-one, and Fran Harris throws up a bad shot.
A lot of standing around.
That was a good play by Shidlowskaya, number 4, who knocked it back into the hands of Uliana. A chance for the Soviet team to get as close as they've been since the half. 3-point try, Yakovleva. Sydney Brown over the back, and they finally called the foul against CHERYL.
What a play by Sydney Brown to just throw her off her back, too.
That's going to be the 6th foul against the Soviet Union, team foul, 6 against the United States. It takes 8 to go into the penalty. Back into the game, CHERYL Miller along with Teresa Edwards for the United States. There's Teresa. Teresa has 11 points in the game. She and CHERYL Miller are the only Americans with double figures. Teresa leading the way with 11 and CHERYL with 10. Only one player for the Soviet Union with double figures, and that's with 11 points. Kundrevatova, who has not played all that much here in the second half.
You know, if you see a little bit of standing around from the Americans, it's because they just put in a new offense this morning.
CHERYL Miller.
Well, they said that they put in their offense, but what they did was took something out of the old one.
That's right. It's a variation off the ones they had, but still you're learning something new.
We wanted to simplify it somewhat because the girls were getting a little bit confused.
Like you said, Bill, the white lines.
Yes.
CHERYL from the baseline. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's the white line syndrome. Don't talk about. The coach tells the players what to do, and then they cross the white line and they forget. But in international rules, it shouldn't happen, Bill, because they have to stay out in the court. They don't come across the white line.
They still forget. They still forget.
Weatherspoon blocked by Uliana. Good play by Shidlowskaya. Moravova foul by Weatherspoon.
Well, they all got a good shot at her. No one got a clean hit, but they all got a good shot at it.
And Kayal not liking the way things are going right now. As we take a look offensively down the other end on that block by Uliana, as she knocks it away. The U.S. team leading 60-44.
Looks like the U.S. women are on their way to a gold in basketball. We'll be going back in just a moment. I wanted to remind you that today diving began at the Olympic Swimming Complex, not far from our Ostankino broadcast facilities here on the north side of Moscow. Women's 3-meter springboard with Michelle Mitchell, Wendy Weiland, and Tristan Baker from the United States competing. We'll be covering that, and also we'll be staying around after the women's basketball game for the gold medal ceremonies for all the celebration. Right now, though, let's go back to the basketball game and Rick Barry.
Thank you very much, Bob. Along with Ann Myers and Bill Russell, we're the United States team enjoying a 19-point lead, 63-44. We have 6:42 remaining in this game. It has been a game dominated by the United States a little bit more than midway through the first half when they took control of this game, and they've held it throughout. They led by 14 at the half. CHERYL Miller has 14 to be the leading scorer, and the United States now enjoys their biggest lead of the game, 20. They've enjoyed that on several occasions.
Great pass.
McLean from Edwards. Now they lead by 22. And you see a jubilant American women's team on the sideline shouting encouragement to that fine effort.
Not only swim team, handball, volleyball, both. There's so many Americans here. It's incredible.
You can hear the USA chant in the background. That's the biggest lead for the American team, coming at the 6:30 mark here in the second half. We've got American flags all over the place. In fact, during the halftime, they even started kind of a broken wave. There we see the play again. Nice pass, threading the needle by Edwards and the lay-in by McLean. McLean has 13 points, 14 for CHERYL, 11 for Edwards. It's just been a fine all-around effort on the part of all of these young women, and head coach Kay Yao from North Carolina State has to be really pleased, as well as her assistants Marianne Stanley and Sylvia Hatchell. Sylvia, out of Francis Marion College, was the NAIA National Coach of the Year. And, of course, Marion Crawford Stanley from Old Dominion, the former coach of Ann Donovan, before last season when she had one of the worst records ever, 16-13, and she had the highest winning percentage of any coach in basketball, men's or women, at 87.7. That is mind-boggling.
I know, and she's done a super job at Old Dominion. And plus, she's a great ball player at Immaculata. She's a two-time All-American herself.
And again, the United States team not letting up, full court pressure against the Soviet team. Semyonova has gone out of the ball game because they cannot play an up-tempo game with her in, and they have got to get points and get them quickly if they hope to do anything in this contest with only 6:15 remaining, a game that has been most impressive for the U.S. team. By far, their best effort of the Goodwill Games competition. Good defense again. Shot clock down to 6. CHERYL jumps out. Again, excellent defense. A long shot from the baseline by Morovova as she pops it in for the Soviet Union.
Boy, is that a backbreaker. You work so hard defensively and you get a shot like that.
Well, actually, that didn't hurt you so much because they had to use all the time allotted, and they're going to make tough shots like that, and they're still going to be 20 points behind.
Edwards wide open. They called 3 seconds. They had a pass for a layup, and they took it away from her.
Well, she had just gotten in the key.
She made a cut across and turned to the basket. They called 3 seconds. She had a layup.
Because she was all by herself.
I wonder if that was the Czechoslovakian official. The pass inside, and the shot dropped for Kudravatova. Now, Kudravatova led the scoring in the first half with 11, and she's just now getting the play. She has 13. I cannot believe why their coach had her on the bench. She was by far their best offensive player in the first half.
That's coaching.
CHERYL Miller with a creative move will go to the free throw line as the foul goes against Kudravatova.
You know what happens, Rick, seriously, coaches, when they are really into a game, they have a feel for their players. And the players that they feel is playing the way they want them to play, they're the ones that get the time. And sometimes the player can be playing pretty good, and coaches can't feel it.
We're saying that sometimes coaches make mistakes, Bill?
Major.
We saw some of the American contingent here.
Yeah, CHERYL Miller on the line. She has got the most free throws in this tournament. She draws the most fouls, and she does a great job of it.
We saw Weatherspoon and Cooper, the designated cheerleaders, when they're on the bench for the American women's team.
I thought Cooper had a pretty good game today.
Played very well.
Not over.
There's some of the other Americans. Paul Horning.
We're getting down to that point.
Hey,
now, that was 3 seconds. They called it. He agreed with me.
This would be a great, great victory for the United States because they are just blowing away the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union has not lost a game like this in, I don't know, over 20-something years.
Yeah, coming close to 30 years. Very impressive. They lead by 20, make it 22 on that move by McLean. She has 15, the U.S. 70, the Soviet Union 48, 4:50 left to play. And who would have thought that the American team would have done this to the Soviet Union ball club? Nice pass inside. Yakovleva lays it in over Etheridge. She has a tremendous height advantage over Cammie of about 7 inches.
That's almost like Ann guarding me.
Hey, I'd love to. See, he'd have to shoot the ball, Rick.
That's right. Then he's in big trouble. He's too slow to go around you now. You might have a little trouble getting your shot off, though, Ann. 4:20 left to play. 70-50. The United States team leading. Teresa Edwards. Good move. She couldn't finish it off, however. That's Yakovleva with the rebound for the Soviets. Terrell has come back in with the left hand. Yakovleva can't get it to drop. CHERYL Miller, 3 against 3. And Donovan's trailing. CHERYL doesn't need her.
Great move to take it to the left side.
Tom Baxton right there in the white. Paul Horning there on the left of your screen in the middle. And Terry Schroeder, also one of the Americans in attendance here. as the captain, of course, of our water polo team, and they're involved in the competition right now as they're on hand. The handball team is here as well, team handball. Teresa Edwards underneath. Now the U.S. has their biggest lead of the competition, 74 to 50, with 3:30 left to play. Ken Baxton is there, a member of our crew working with PBS.
John Bevilacqua.
John Bevilacqua. Ken's watch. He thought he was a basketball player. He's on crutches now. He hurt himself playing. That's BAREL from the outside. CHERYL Miller again. Here comes the U.S. team. They have a 3-on-1 break. CHERYL leads it. Oh, you look too cute, CHERYL. Saved by Edwards, but it goes to Yakovleva. So CHERYL put a little mustard on the hot dog, and it didn't work. Thrown away by the Soviets.
Now the frustration starts to settle in, Rick.
Edwards to Donovan with the left hand, and Donovan with 8. It is now a 26-point lead, and the Soviet Union on the verge of receiving the worst defeat of their entire history in international women's competition.
The American team, the inexperience has really pulled together. They are all playing so well and has pulled together as a team.
Now there is the biggest mystery to me. There is Kundratova again popping one in. She had 15 points, and she spent almost the entire second half on the bench. Well, that is the mystery to me of the coaching decision on the part of their head coach Kapanov.
Well, maybe she's not doing the other things that
they need some points, Bill. Edwards, great pass to McLean.
Great pass.
McLean at 17.
And this is when it gets fun, when you can run stuff like that.
Little step.
What an effort on the part of this ball club. And Donovan, CHERYL Miller, the two experienced veterans, but McLean and the rest of them will be back. 78-52, the U.S. team, and they are in control. 79 for the U.S., 52 for the Soviets. Traveling call of the Soviet ball, and the Soviet Union on the verge of receiving the worst drubbing that they've ever had in international competition, which spans almost 30 years. And thanks to players like CHERYL Miller, Teresa Edwards, and Donovan, it has been a marvelous performance on the part of this American women's basketball team. They have just improved with every ball game as the Soviets are trying to just make it a little bit more respectable. The foul against Teresa Weatherspoon. Bill, you can't say enough about Kay Yao, her coaching staff, and these fine young women and the performance they put on here.
Well, what Kay Yao has done is probe the strength and put more and more of them out there as part of the team game plan, and she's done a wonderful job. But these players have really adapted to the international game, and as I said in one of the earlier games, Rick, I could see improvement every half. That they would, some of the mistakes they made the first quarter of the first half of this tournament are things of the past. They don't make those same mistakes now.
Gerlich makes the free throw. Ann Myers has gone down to the floor. She will try to gather up the winning gold medal winners for the U.S. team in these Goodwill Games competition and have an opportunity for you to meet them in person and get a chance to see their reaction to this marvelous performance and one of the great victories of U.S. women's basketball, amateur basketball, well, in all of the years that they've been playing. This is just absolutely something that I would not have envisioned. I said I'd be disappointed if they didn't win, Bill, but I did not expect this type of domination. They were supposed to, of course, be the team to win the silver here, and here they are coming away with just a total blowout of the Soviet Union ball club. Cindy Brown is going to be called for the foul. A look at Cindy. And remember, more basketball action will be coming to you as part of our Goodwill Games coverage later on when the American team, the men's team, from the World Championships taking place in Spain. Mel Proctor, along with head coach of the Atlanta Hawks, Mike Fratello, will be bringing you all of the action of that game against Italy. Both teams 4-0 right now. The U.S. team coming off of a big scare last night against Puerto Rico when they won by 1 point. And then, of course, they will move on to semifinal action in Oviedo and Barcelona. Bill and I will be going to Oviedo tomorrow, and then we'll have coverage of those games as well as the finals from Madrid. And, of course, a very powerful men's team for the Soviet Union led by Arvydas Sabonis. But right here, it's been the women. And there is Clarissa Davis, who has come in to score her first points of the ball game. And so all of the women on the American team have got, no one. Weatherspoon has not scored for the American women right now. But it has been a marvelous effort. It's been a joy to behold the effort put forth by this team. We have been with them all week long. Kariksha will go to the free throw line on that play as Clarissa Davis commits the foul. But it's really nice, Bill, to see a group of young ladies who are all stars in their own right, coming from places all over the United States, joining together to come to the Goodwill Games. And of course, they will also be competing in the World Basketball Championships later on here in the Soviet Union in August. And to see them really mold together as a unit, thanks to some great leadership on the part of their head coach, Kay Yao, and her assistants, Marianne Stanley out of Old Dominion and Sylvia Hatchell from Francis Marion. Kay Yao, of course, from North Carolina State University. They lead 81-58, and we have 40 seconds left to play. The U.S. team will be the gold medal winners here in the Goodwill Games as Jennifer Gillum
finally gets one to drop for her.
She has had a tough go in this tournament, but give her credit. She's worked hard. She's gotten the rebounds. She knew she had to try and contribute, and she has done it. All of these team members have done it. And what a nasty pick. And they called a foul on Teresa Weatherspoon, and she was just hammered. She has a big smile. She has such a great personality. Now, come on, Marion and Kay. You can smile a little bit. Still you're smiling.
So you can't, what young Miss Weatherspoon has to understand that when you hit somebody on the elbow with your chin, they got to call a foul on you.
Look at the smiles on Katrina McLean and CHERYL Miller. Now Marion's getting a little smile there on the right of your screen. They played an outstanding game. CHERYL Miller had 18 points. Katrina McLean, 17. Both of them played good defense, as did the entire team. Plenty of rebounds, 13 for Edwards. And Donovan had 8 and did an outstanding job against Semyonova and really made her a non-factor in this game. Brown inside to Jennifer. Cindy Brown had it. It's taken away by Gerlitz. The final 8 seconds, and Weatherspoon with the steal. Come on, Teresa, get on the scoreboard. Jump ball with 3 seconds remaining, and it's all academic. The American women cannot wait to run out into that court and to celebrate this victory. They're all standing by. They're off the bench. There's Ann Donovan. There's Katrina McLean. As the chant USA comes from the crowd and a very jubilant coaching staff looking on. Now the officials trying to push the press corps back off the court. A big upset here by virtue of what the score is. A 23-point lead for the American team. They were expected to win the silver here at the Goodwill Games, but they are going to win the gold, and they have done it in a most convincing fashion. The worst defeat ever for the Soviet Union women. The final second. And that is it. 83-60. The women win. Let's watch them.
Soviet Union. And I tell you, for me and on behalf of the team, first we just like to praise the Lord for the opportunity that we had to be here and a challenge that we were facing. We enjoyed every minute of it. The team played their hearts out. You know, they play with so much heart, give it everything that they've got, and it is tremendously exciting. I just can't still get over that we're showing a game in Russia back home in America. I want to see a game in California. They're seeing one from Russia. I can't believe it.
Well, what kind of win does this mean for you guys, the United States, to beat the Soviet Union this big?
I guess I'm still a little stunned.
As far as the play of the team, I mean, it seemed like everybody played well. There was no one person that stuck out.
No, I'd say, there was no one person, but Katrina McLean really did a fantastic job on the boards tonight. I mean, she really helped us there. Ann Donovan did a great job on Semyonova, and defending her like we needed to defend her. So many of the kids just played their part, so well. I'm really extremely pleased with them. It was a tremendous team effort. It was defense has been doing it for us all along. Finally, tonight, we still play good defense, but we got our half-court offense going. And that's one of the most exciting things for us, is that we finally got a half-court offense clicking.
Well, it really has been, but also your fast break. You seem to run it a lot more tonight against the Soviets.
Well, that is one of our main things that we want to do, push the ball down the court. And so if we want to push it against anybody, it's this team. We're trying to push it hard every game, but we knew this game, most of all, we wanted to push it as much as we could.
You talked about the home court advantage for the Soviets. What about the American crowd?
Oh, gosh. Well, all the CBs we met over at the embassy, and then all the other athletes that are staying here, it's just tremendous to have them here chanting USA. I tell you, it's a tremendous feeling. And another thing, we come back for the World Championships. we're not going to have very many people here.
Well, we'll be rooting for you. You had a great win tonight, Kay. Go with your team and do it.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you so much.
Back to you, Rick and Bill.
Thank you very much, Ann. And the jubilant American team celebrating here on their big victory against the Soviet Union. We'll be back in just a moment.
The Americans have just really destroyed the Soviet Union. CHERYL Miller and Katrina McLean from Georgia and SC. Did you think that you'd come out and be able to rebound against the Soviet Union like you did?
Well, I don't know. They're a pretty tough team, and they're really strong on the boards. And Coach said we had to box out Uliana. She's the biggest, our main defender. And I felt that, we boxed them out pretty well. We did a good job.
What about your defense, CHERYL? It's been going for you all tournament long, and it seemed to come through again.
The two players that made magnificent contributions, I have to say, and Donovan and Katrina here. They played fantastic as far as the post position and rebounding. And our team defense is what got us this far, and it paid off in our running game. Definitely.
Amen.
Thank you for that.
As far as the youth on this ball club, that's what everybody was talking about. Only 3 players that had any kind of international experience, especially against the Soviets. You had 3 players. Katrina, you were one of them that you played in the World Championships, but there were 3 players that didn't have any kind of experience, no intimidation whatsoever.
Well, that's where hard work comes in. At Hilton Head, we all got together and said, we're going to do it together, and everybody's going to work hard, and it comes. And it all came.
You put in a new offense this morning. Seemed to work for you.
It worked fantastic. It's one of those, I hope it worked kind of offense, but it worked, and everybody was committed to it. And we're just lucky that the outcome was like it was. We didn't really expect to blow out the Soviets, but they were playing against a good team, don't you think?
Right.
That's right. We have heard for years and years and years, it's always been the Soviet Union. They've won 2 gold medals, 1976, 1980. We came back and won in 84. And they basically have been the powerhouse of international women's basketball. What does it mean to beat the Soviet Union by this kind of score?
I don't...
You haven't been around long enough, huh?
No, I mean, because last time we played them and they beat us, and so I felt, we had something to prove this summer.
CHERYL?
It's always time for a great champion to step down and a new champion to step up, and that's us. That's the Americans. We originated basketball, and that's where it's going to stay, in the States.
Amen.
You guys had a great game. Katrina McLean, CHERYL Miller, and all the rest of the United States team. Congratulations.
Coming home. All right.
Yeah.
Lady, and I love their new wardrobe. That is a tremendous wardrobe she had on there, and a terrific game here. And your final impressions on this performance by the American women?
Rick, they got better every half, and I can't say too much about the defense. I thought that they played.
Well, you can. You're allowed to do that. You did pretty well.
They played great defense, great team defense. They played good individual effort, and they used their skills, quickness and floor speed, to real advantage.
And there you see it, the final score of the gold medal game, the United States coming away victorious, 83-60, the worst defeat ever in the history of the Soviet Union in their play of international amateur women's basketball. For Bill Russell and Ann Myers, here from the Druzhba Multipurpose Gymnasium, this is Rick Barry sending you back to our broadcast control room with Bob Neal.
Thank you, Rick, Bill, and Ann. I can see that you're enthusiastic out there at Druzhba. 83-60, the final score. What an incredible basketball display by the U.S. American women. Ann Donovan, Katrina McLean, Teresa Edwards, CHERYL Miller, all of them. It was just simply a wonderful sight to behold. Remember now, this was kind of a tune-up. It was the Goodwill Games gold medal. It's also a tune-up for the World Championships that'll be held here in August. So that U.S. team's going to have to come back here and face what you might call would be a team seeking revenge. We'll be back with more coverage of the Goodwill Games in just a moment. Stay with us. We'll return. speed. Yesterday, the spectacular day in track and field. Today, the women's basketball game between the Soviet Union and the United States, an 83-60 win to the United States. And we are beginning one of the sports that just starts today is diving, women's 3-meter springboard. Nick Charles, that looks pretty good too.
It sure does. The Chinese have some very powerful individuals, so do the Soviet Union. And the interesting thing to watch for the Americans is Michelle Mitchell. She is a platform specialist, but the Americans feel she will surprise a lot of people in 3-meter springboard. The springboard's interesting also. There's more variables involved, Bob. It's just a lot could happen when you're going through the air that way off a board, and the takeoff's very important. But it's a very well-balanced, strong Goodwill Games field.
And the arena, the Olympic diving complex out at the Olympic swimming area, not too far from our studios here on the north side of Moscow, was built for the 1980 Olympics. It is a spectacular venue. You'll love seeing that too. So we have a lot more volleyball coming along. Also, we'll be covering the diving. You stay with us as we continue with Goodwill Games 1986. U.S. women basketball team has just defeated the Soviet Union 83-60 for the gold medal. The ceremonies are happening right now at Druzhba. You see the United States team victorious, joyous, and cheerful. Walking back into the arena now, the woman in red is Kay Yao, the coach of the U.S. team, and they're going for the gold medal ceremony. The Soviet Union will receive the silver. The Brazilian basketball team will receive the bronze. It was a round-robin tournament made up of 6 teams, and the top 3 get medals: the United States, the Soviet Union, and the team from Brazil. And Nick Charles, most people thought the Soviet Union would win the gold and the U.S. would win the silver. Some thought the U.S. team could win, but none thought they would win by 23 points.
A majestic result again, Bob.
There's Brazil, by the way.
And here comes Brazil. They beat Czechoslovakia today to win the bronze. Brazil, a very game and exciting bunch of players. But the U.S. again just came together and seemed to get better as this tournament progressed. They struggled at times with teams, but absolutely, totally dominated the Soviets, dismantled them. The transition game, everybody contributed. No stick-out star once again, but a total team effort. It just all clicked. It all worked offensively and defensively.
There's Ann Donovan. You just saw CHERYL Miller and the other basketball players that contributed so much. Teresa Edwards, Kami Etheridge, Katrina McLean, Teresa Weatherspoon.
What a rivalry, too, of course. As CHERYL Miller said, we invented the game. The Soviets dominated in the 70s and then certainly in the 80s. And now to come back and to beat the Soviets in Moscow, to be together in halfway around the world, and to do it is something remarkable.
As you see, you're watching the awarding of the gold medals, the gold, silver, and bronze medals for U.S. women's basketball. In '76 Olympics, the Soviet Union defeated the United States to win the gold medal. In 1980, the USSR won the Olympics because America boycotted, and the USA won in '84, probably because the Soviet Union boycotted. Now they have met at the Goodwill Games. Let's join the ceremonies at Druzhba Sports Arena.
Четвертое место заняла команда Народной Республики Болгарии.
The 4th place, the team of Bulgaria.
Пятое место заняла команда Социалистической Федеративной Республики Югославии.
The 5th place, the team of Yugoslavia.
Шестое место заняла команда Чехословацкой Социалистической Республики.
The 6th place, the team of Czechoslovakia.
You see in the picture there on the right side, Bill Russell, who joined our commentators Rick Barry and Ann Myers for the telecast. He's involved in the ceremony here for the presentation of the medals.
Is the team of the United States. The team is awarded with pennants and diplomas of the organizing committee of the Goodwill Games.
CHERYL Miller.
Награды вручают
председатель Федерации
баскетбола СССР Виктор Алексеевич Куприянов.
I'll predict we might see a tear or two.
Игр по баскетболу, один из популярнейших баскетболистов США и мира Билл Рассел.
There's Bill Russell.
President of the USSR Basketball Federation, Comrade Kupriyanov, and 16th Olympic Games champion, one of the most popular basketball players, Bill Russell, present the awards.
Bill Russell presenting the certificates and the gold medal to the United States champions of the Goodwill Games women's basketball.
Дипломами и памятными подарками.
The players of the team are awarded with golden medals, diplomas, and commemorative gifts.
Little Kami Etheridge, the playmaker of the University of Texas NCAA champions.
Those roses will wilt, but that gold medal sure will endure.
Награждается Тереза Эдвардс, Синди Браун, Энн Донован, Тереза Ведерспун, Черил Миллер, Фрэн Хэрис, Клариса Дэвис, Катрина Маклейн, Дженнифер Гиллам, Синди Купер.
You hear the chant of USA. There was a sizable USA crowd in the audience made up of tourists who are here, Goodwill Games visitors. There are many people who came here for these games, and also some of the military and civilian personnel at the U.S. embassies and other attachments here in Moscow. So there was a relatively sizable U.S. crowd to watch this victory today.
Oh, what a smashing success, obviously for America, but secondly, the game we thought would be close, it was still thrilling. It was thrilling to see such total execution. Again, to see a team that's been together for so long and has been in a foreign country halfway around the world, to just pull it all together at the precise time.
These players come from all over the United States. Ann Donovan from Old Dominion University, Teresa Edwards, Katrina McLean from the University of Georgia, Fran Harris from Texas, Teresa Weatherspoon from Louisiana Tech,
are awarded with medals for coaches.
Kami Etheridge, of course, from Texas. There's Kay Yao, the head coach of the women's basketball team from North Carolina State. Kami Etheridge, the captain of the U.S. team, standing on that top platform, holding the gold. Kami Etheridge, a very religious young lady. She is a physical education major. She wants to go into the sports administration field. And the team captain, Kami Etheridge. She was an alternate on the 1984 Olympic team. Went to Monterey High School in Lubbock, Texas.
Команда Советского Союза, занявшая второе место, награждается дипломом Оргкомитета игр доброй воли.
The second award goes to the team of the Soviet Union.
Now the presentation of the silver medal to the USSR.
And commemorative gifts.
Награды вручают руководитель директората по баскетболу игр доброй воли Геннадий Петрович Копцов и главный судья соревнований Владимир Михайлович Костин.
Director, chairman of the Goodwill Games basketball tournament, Comrade Koptsov, and chief referee of the tournament, Comrade Kostin, present the awards.
Игроки команды награждаются серебряными медалями, дипломами и памятными подарками.
The players are awarded with the silver medals, diplomas, and commemorative gifts.
Капитан команды Ольга Бурякина, Рамоня Шедловскайте, Виталия Таумайте, Олеся Барель, Елена Терникиду,
the captain of the Soviet team perhaps saying, we'll see you again in August.
You could bet on it.
Галина Кудреватова, Лариса Курикша, Ирина Герлиц.
Wonder if Kami Etheridge is speaking Russian with a Texas accent. Kami Etheridge, the emotional leader of this U.S. team, in addition to being the captain, her coach Judy Conrad at the University of Texas describes her as the kind of person who will race you to the water fountain and try to draw a charge on the way.
Награждаются дипломами Оргкомитета игр доброй воли.
The team coaches are awarded with diplomas of the organizing committee of the Goodwill Games.
Brazil in the green and gold, the bronze medalist in this 6-team round-robin tournament. Brazil, an exciting team, gave the United States a very tough physical game early in the tournament. And so did Bulgaria in the previous game prior to the Soviet Union confrontation.
Awarded for the third place is the team of Brazil. The team is awarded by the diplomas of the organizing committee of the Goodwill Games.
Награды вручают член Международной Федерации баскетбола Борис Николаевич Иванов.
Following the presentation of the awards and the bronze medals to Brazil, we'll have the raising of the flag, the playing of the anthem, the international sports competition tradition.
Present the award.
Игроки команды Бразилии награждаются бронзовыми медалями, дипломами и памятными подарками.
The players of the team are awarded with bronze medals, diplomas, and commemorative gifts.
I think if you're ever been a participant or a parent of participants in any kind of sporting activities, you'll know that ceremonies like this might take a few minutes, but they are so very, very important to the participants and to the spirit of the games.
And naturally it's tough to lose, but you could really see the friendship and the admiration there. I don't think there's any resentment on any of the stands.
There's some mamas and daddies in Portland, Oregon, San Antonio, Texas, Dallas, Charleston, South Carolina, who are probably shedding a tear or two right now.
Of the organizing committee of the Goodwill Games.
CHERYL Miller, still draped in the red, white, and blue. And let's hear it for Kay Yao. She outcoached her male counterpart, the Russian male coach of the women's team.
And the playing of the anthem for the gold medal winning United States basketball team. We'll be right back after this word. It was USA women 83, Soviet women 60 in basketball for the gold medal at the Goodwill Games. Nick Charles, I'm going to take a little break here and leave things in your capable hands, but tonight we've got more basketball.
Right, prime time. What's up?
We have the USA versus Italy. They are in Group C playing in Malaga, Spain, and they're down now to picking the top 3 teams in the 4 groups to go to the second round. And the United States and Italy are both undefeated at 4-0. Many people think the Italian team can beat the United States team. That'll be the highlight of primetime coverage tonight.
Okay, we'll join Mel Proctor and Mike Fratello then, and also see you and Marianne Laughlin. Have a good couple of hours off. You certainly have earned it. And so has the U.S. women's basketball team. That's the story of the evening. Their rout over the Soviet Union, 83-60. And we'll be back with more Goodwill Games coverage from Moscow after this.
Talent of the Goodwill Games has been provided by the John White's companies.
Welcome back to Moscow, where the key item tonight is the women's basketball team from the United States won the gold medal, routing the Soviet Union. Worst defeat by the Soviets have suffered ever in international competition. CNN's Richard Blystone has been getting to know the Soviet Union. Getting to know Moscow means reading lots and lots of signs. And as Richard found out, those signs aren't selling products, they're selling a way of life.
Traveling around Moscow, you get the feeling that somebody is trying to tell you something. And it's not about detergent or beer or cars or any of the other things that billboards extol in the States. What do you suppose they're selling here? Well, you can bet it's not bib overalls.
Toward the intensive development of our domestic economy.
In other words, official graffiti. Now turn your translator loose on this one.
Intensive work of high quality is the key to the successful fulfillment of our plans.
Not quite as catchy as get off your rear end and get to work, but that's the general idea. It fits in with leader Mikhail Gorbachev's campaign to give the Soviet economy a kick in the pants. These folks are passing on the message that
to work intensively is the patriotic duty of every Muscovite.
And these people are paying no attention. Giant posters and billboards are a traditional way of putting out the party line.
In order to complete the task of bringing up, educating, and teaching the children, one must instill communist values. Lenin.
Do you see anybody rushing off to instill a communist value? No, but they're not expected to. This is an art form. It's meant to get you in the heart.
Long live Marxism-Leninism, the eternally alive revolutionary internationalist teaching. The Leningradsky region has beaten its output target by 5 million rubles.
Next to work, peace seems to be the most popular billboard theme. Here, peace in outer space. And here, the hammerhead of a hammer and sickle reads, peace on earth.
The pivot of the foreign policy of the Soviet Union is the course of peace and disarmament.
It isn't clear just who is thought to need convincing of this, but whoever it is, they must read Russian. Here's a slogan I kind of like. It says, sport, friendship, peace. For the Igry Dobry Voli, I'm Richard Blystone.
Turner Network Television, Goodwill.
Gold medal and beat the Soviet Union by 23 points just a few moments ago. But the drama continues next with Craig Sager and Jennifer Chandler and diving.
The sport of diving combines skill and courage, and one can't help but be awed by the breathtaking artistry of an accomplished diver. Our competition begins at the Olympic Sports Complex with a women's springboard. With me, a woman who is as attractive as she is talented, who won a gold medal in this event in the 1976 Olympics. And who are the favorites today?
Well, American divers Michelle Mitchell and Tris Baker are two very experienced, very mature competitors, and that's going to be one of the key factors that determines who wins this contest. In contrast to Chinese women who do incredibly difficult dives, lack that international experience that's so crucial in a major competition like the Goodwill Games. The Soviets will add a lot of class. Zana Surulnikova has set the pace for the competitions prior to this meet, and her teammate Marina Babkova is the national champion. It's going to be a pretty awesome contest.
This is our first look at Zana Surulnikova from the Soviet Union, experienced diver.
Zana's doing a forward dive straight, degree difficulty 1.6. That was really a very nice dive. She has beautiful lines in the air, really nice long legs.
Can't get much better than that for her opening dive. And her score is 35.52. How do they figure out the scoring?
Each judge judges the dive, it's flashed up onto the scoreboard, and added up, and that total is multiplied by the degree difficulty to arrive at the score for one dive.
And in these opening dives, they basically are doing what's called
required dives. The first 5 dives are required, then they do 5 optional dives. That was really a nice dive, too.
That was Heidi Marie Greka from Czechoslovakia.
You'll notice on these required dives the difference in style between the American divers, the German divers, and the Soviet divers.
Leading off the diving for the Americans is Tristan Baker, 24 years old, Salt Lake City, Utah, a junior at BYU.
Tristan's doing a back dive pike. She has really beautiful lines also. Tristan is consistent, and if she hangs tough, she could do real well in this meet. She looked a little too counterintuitive to that on me, but it went straight in. It moved back a little bit, and it didn't have as good a jump as she can usually get. But it was a very nice dive.
7s and 7.5s for most of the judges. And right now, she is leading the competition after the first round. But up next, Marina Babkova from the Soviet Union, just 16 years old, but a very talented diver.
Marina is the present national champion in 3 meter. Forward 1.5 somersaults pike. Wow, what a jump.
She really gets off that board.
She goes so high. You can see the difference from the other women that have done a forward 1.5 somersaults pike. She goes up about 2 feet higher in the air.
7.5s and 8s for most of the judges, the highest scoring so far the first round.
Look at her extension off the board, how high she goes. Beautiful line. She's lining up for the water. Left a little bit short of vertical, but that was beautiful.
Michelle Mitchell, 24 years old, from Scottsdale, Arizona. The current national champion in both the 3 meter and the platform for the United States.
Michelle's doing a reverse dive straight. Oh, that was beautiful. Michelle really has the ability to get those beautiful rip entries like I was telling you about. When you go in, when she goes in, she makes no splash. It makes a great sound when she hits the water.
She's really beautiful to watch.
She really is. The nice lines there and the stretch. See how tight she is when she goes in. Hi, Mom.
And we'll be back later with more from the diving competition at the Olympic Sports Center.
Welcome back to the Soviet Union and TBS Sports' coverage of the Goodwill Games. A reminder what's coming up on our prime time coverage of the games. Men's basketball from Malaga, Spain, Mel Proctor and Mike Fratello with the call. 2 unbeaten teams, the United States against Italy. This one, if they were making a betting line, would be a pick'em game. Women's basketball, the U.S. women's basketball team has just won the gold medal, beating the Soviet Union by 23 points. On our primetime coverage tonight, the entire U.S. women's basketball team is slated to be our very special guests. So remember to stay tuned, Bob Neal and Marianne Laughlin, on our primetime coverage of the Goodwill Games. But meanwhile, diving going on, the women's 3 meter springboard at the Olympic Sports Complex Indoor Stadium, just a few meters away from where the U.S. team had a very successful swimming meet, collecting the gold. For the call of the diving, let's go back to Craig Sager and Jennifer Chandler.
At the women's springboard competition at the Olympic Sports Complex, the leader after 4 rounds is Marina Babkova of the Soviet Union. Her teammate Zana Cyrilnikova is in 2nd place. Heidi Marie Greka is in 3rd. She is from Czechoslovakia. From the United States, Tristan Baker is in 4th place. And Michelle Mitchell, one of the favorites, has dropped to 9th. And this is Zana Cyrilnikova, who right now is in 2nd place. What is she doing?
Zana's doing a reverse 1.5 somersault with 1/2 twist. As she comes over the top and looks at the water, she leaves it a little bit short of vertical.
Heidi Marie Greka currently in 3rd place. Is that a surprise to you?
No, she's a very strong diver. As I said, after the 5th round, this is when we really get down to brass tacks. She's doing an inward 1.5 somersault pike. It's a little bit past vertical. She won't get real good scores on that. There's really a stylistic difference on the inward 1.5 somersaults between the Germans, the Chinese, the Soviet team, and the American team. She was very tight in the pike there. It's hard to get a good look at the water. She was a little bit past vertical.
And she received 7s from the judges. Lin Xiaoni from China.
She's doing an inward 1.5 somersaults pike. Let's look and see if we can see the difference in the style. This gal has absolute springs in her ankles. She goes so high.
Does that influence the judges?
Oh, yeah. And the higher you can go, the better. But she really doesn't seem like she would be that strong.
Boy,
She did that open pike. That was a beautiful entry, absolutely beautiful. She didn't throw enough water to fill up a cup. That's what you want to do.
Not only does she have great vertical jump, but she also, her body twists so quickly.
She has wonderful extension off the board and really pretty lines, beautiful toes.
And the judges like that one as well, 7.5s and 8s for most people, and she'll be looking to move up in the standings. This is her teammate, Lynn Diatong.
She's doing a forward 1.5 somersaults with 1 twist in a free position. That was a nice dive. It was a little bit sort of vertical also. They looked like they were diving a little bit tentatively. The first 5 rounds really sort of set the feel. You just sort of get in a comfortable place. You want to get kind of relaxed because really the next 5 dives are really difficult to do. They're hard dives. And for the women to do the difficult dives, you have to really be relaxed.
This is Brita Baldus from East Germany.
She's doing the same dive. It's actually good to follow someone doing the same dive. If you do it better, the judges have no choice but to give you better scores. That's also sort of vertical. She didn't have as pretty extension in it through her toes, through her legs on that.
Well, we'll get to see a chance to look at that dive again because Jenny Donnett is also going to be doing it.
You'll see if she goes to look at the water. She doesn't have as good extension as Lynn does. She's a little bit loose in her feet there and a little bit past vertical.
Tristan Baker from the United States currently in 4th place as we go to the 5th round. We keep calling these required dives, but we see they're doing different dives. They have a choice of which ones to pick. It just has to add up to the certain degree of difficulty, correct?
Exactly. There's a certain number that the divers do. They choose 5 dives, and the degree of difficulty on those 5 dives has to equal the same number.
And they have to do different types, forward, reverse, back.
They have to do that. That was absolutely beautiful. Tris has a great ability to get wonderful entries, and that's really important because the entry is the last thing that the judge sees.
And the judges give her 7.5s and 8s, so
that's nice.
She's putting some pressure on Marina Babkova, our leader right now, who is finishing up her required dives. And we like to watch the spring she gets off the board. What's she going to be doing?
She's going to be doing reverse 1.5 somersault with a half twist.
She has a home crowd advantage, too, as we heard from the audience.
Talk about springs in your ankles. Watch her. She moved a little bit too far out from the board, but she was able to work it down real well. She's got a beautiful entry. The crowd's going crazy.
You can tell she's one of their favorites. She's just 16 years old. Michelle Mitchell, who's next, is 24 years old. At what age does a diver reach her peak?
22, 23, 24. I would say mid-20s, really. That's what's so incredible about the Chinese diving team is that they're so young, yet they're so unbelievably talented. The more experience they get, the more difficult it's going to be to hang in there with them.
Michelle Mitchell, so far a disappointing 9th place out of the 10 divers that are counting in this competition.
Michelle's doing the back 1.5 somersault straight. This is really a beautiful dive for her. She swings her arms up.
Oh, wow.
Stays completely straight. Oh, man.
A little short, though, right?
I don't know what happened. She just ran out of gas in the middle there. She never misses that dive. I don't know what happened there.
And she gets 5.5s and 6 for most of the judges, so Michelle, again, will be dropping down.
Sometimes that takes the pressure off. You'll see she had it going there, and then she left her leg. She just kind of got hung up.
So after the first 5 rounds, the required dives, the leader continues to be Marina Babkova of the Soviet Union. Katrine Bensing from East Germany is in 2nd. Her teammate, Brita Baldus, is in 3rd. And Lynn Sione from China has moved into 4th place. Tristan Baker from the United States is 6th. Michelle Mitchell remains in 9th.
Welcome back to Moscow. You saw the first half of the diving. Wait till you see the second half of the women's 3-meter springboard diving. Also tonight, cycling from the velodrome, the Olympic velodrome, that lightning fast track, and the team pursuit finals coming up, featuring the Soviet team that just last night here shattered a world record. That and a lot more when we come back. Stay with us. Games Broadcast Center in Moscow. We're a few miles away a few minutes ago. The United States women's basketball team beat the Soviet Union by 23 points and won the gold medal. But coming up next, we'll go to the Olympic velodrome, the lightning-fast track there. Medals to be won here tonight. Men's 4-kilometer, men's team pursuit finals featuring the Soviet team that just shattered the world record here last night. So for that, let's go to Kevin Christopher and Jonathan Boyer.
To say that the cycling action here at the Olympic Velodrome over the first couple of days of competition has been fast and furious would really be the epitome of understatement. We've seen some terrific performances, unbelievable times here at the Velodrome, Jonathan. Now it's getting down to crunch time. Quarterfinals, semifinals, finals. We've got 3 American men in the quarterfinals of the men's sprints. How do you like our chances?
You know, this is a long time since we've done this. We've got Scott Berryman, we've got Nelson Vales, and we got Mark Gorski. Now, I've seen Gorski in the last 2 years, but I've never seen him go this fast and look so good for a long time. I'd say since right after the Olympics.
Which is really amazing considering he had an injured ankle. His rehabilitation obviously has been well ahead of what anyone anticipated. He's really looking good out there, but he's really got his work cut out for him in the first heat. He's up against the world champion.
Heslich is going to be really hard to beat. It's going to be a tough match. Mark is looking good. I really hope for the best for him.
Could be a spectacular upset if Mark can, in fact, take 2 out of those 3 heats. How about the women?
The women, Mindy got the 2nd time in the qualifying for the 3,000-meter pursuit. She looks good. She did a better time than that in Colorado Springs a couple weeks ago. And who knows, she can really crank it out there tonight. We've got the semifinals and the finals, so she could make it to the finals.
All right, we're just about set to go, so fasten your seatbelts and enjoy the races. These are the finals for the 4-kilometer team pursuit for men. The Australians versus the Poles. They'll be going for the bronze medal. Going for the gold, it'll be the Soviets versus the Czechoslovakians. Now, last night, the United States team was eliminated, and here's how it happened. The American team fighting for survival against the Polish team.
They've got about 2 meters behind now. They've got to come harder. Those riders in the American team know that they are just edges off the first place here.
This is going to be a wild finish. The United States team of Britton, Hintz, Letterian.
1 lap to go. 1 lap to go. The Americans lost 1 rider. 3 riders to the end. It's close.
The Americans are now a matter of a few feet behind. They're really going to have to drive hard if they're going to catch this Polish team, though.
It is close. It's going to be about 6 feet.
Poles still just slightly out ahead. The Americans fighting to stave off elimination. Here they come down the stretch, and it is. Oh! The Polish team wins it by hundredths of a second. The time, 4:20.39 to 4:20.57 for the USA. That bad start really cost the American team in this one. This is for the bronze medal in the men's 4K team pursuit. Out on the track right now, you're looking at the Australian team of Glenn Clark, Brett Dutton, Wayne McCarney, and Dean Woods. They are on the track racing against the Poles, Ryszard Dawidowicz, Roman Ovczarek, Andrzej Sikorski, and Marian Torawski.
Now, the Polish team started off fast. They were quite a bit ahead of the Australian team as you went into the race. But now, as you see, the Polish team not only lost 1 rider, but the Australian team is catching fast. And they've got
the bell lap, the Australian team does, in fact, have the lead right now, Jonathan.
Yeah, they do, and they also are gaining very fast.
Now the Australians have dropped the rider off. They are riding with 3 men, and they are well ahead of the Polish team. They will win the bronze medal. It will be the Australian team of Glenn Clark, Brett Dutton, Wayne McCarney, and Dean Woods. There they come across the line. They have won the bronze medal in the 4K team pursuit competition. This is for the gold medal. 6 laps to go as you look at the Soviet team of Vasyslav Akimov, Alexander Krasnov, Vasily Shpundov, and Gintaras Omeras. They are racing against the Czechoslovaks, Ales Trika, Sitrad Fischer, Theodor Cherny, and Pavel Sukov.
Now, those Soviets, as usual, started off well, and boy, do they look good. They look as good as ever. It looks like they're going off on their first heat.
The Soviets have 2 members of the world record team riding for them. That would be Shplundov and Krasnov. But we also know that Vasyslav Akimov and Gintaras Omeras can fly.
They can fly. That's just what you said. Look at them go. They're going to, looks like they're going to catch the Czechoslovakian team very soon now.
3.5 laps to go for the Soviets for the gold medal. At this point in time, I guess you'd have to say it's a lock. Here they come. 3 laps to go.
And then Soviets dropped the rider. One rider dropped. He took a little bit longer pull than before, and the 3 Soviet riders are going on for the win.
The world record time is 4:14.264. They could better it. It would not be a world record, but it certainly would be quite an achievement for these Soviet riders.
Those Soviets still look good. They're still catching even with 3 riders against the Czechoslovakian 4.
Lap and a half to go for the Soviet Union.
Oh, look at the Soviet riders. They're losing the 3rd rider. Now, that's something they cannot do. That's the 3rd rider that counts. Looks like they went off a little bit too fast. Now, that 3rd rider has to catch the 2 riders in front of him. It is the 3rd rider that counts on the time.
There he goes. He's closing it up as they head for home.
Now, that was a move that you rarely should see in a race like this.
There they are, the Soviet Union team, in a time of 4:12.41. So the Soviet Union wins the gold medal in the 4K team pursuit. Czechoslovakia finishes second. They take the silver, and Australia wins the bronze.
Portions of the 1986 Goodwill Games are brought to you by Diet Pepsi, the 1-calorie choice of a new generation.
Welcome back to Moscow. When we left you last, we had cycling at the Velodrome, more cycling later tonight. But when we come back, the exciting conclusion of the women's 3-meter springboard diving. It came down to the 10th and final dives for the women this evening. Stay with us for that and a lot more from the Soviet Union as the Goodwill Games continues on TBS Sports.
Place, just 2 points out of 3rd. Michelle Mitchell in 7th place is only 15 points out of the running for a medal. And those are the results after the 9th round. We now begin the 10th round, and it promises to be an exciting one right down to the final dive. Jennifer?
It really does. Michelle missed that last dive a little bit, but that doesn't knock her out of medal contention.
Dana Srulnikova has moved into 3rd place.
She's doing an inward 2.5 somersault tuck.
She has the momentum going.
Inward 2.5 is really a nice dive for her to end up with. This is kind of her bread and butter dive. You were talking about saving your best dive for last. This dive is a little safer than maybe a back or reverse 2.5. She can really nail it. Oh, I love to see somebody going for it. That was a little short of vertical, but she really did a good job with that.
The crowd here in Moscow certainly loves it. She is their leading diver. She comes up with 7s for most of the judges.
It's a really nice dive.
We're now going to see Lynn Diatong. Now, Lynn Diatong is our leader.
She's doing a back 1.5 somersaults, 2.5 twists. I'm surprised that she saved this dive for last because Chinese women have a little bit of difficulty with their twisters.
It's a difficult dive, 2.8. But if she nails it, she's going to be in excellent position.
She lost her feet on that a little bit. It looked to me like she over-twisted, too. A little bit past vertical. She's not going to get real great scores on that. There's the door opening.
She gets 5.5, 6s from most of the judges.
You see how she lost her feet when she came around to score out, and her feet are continuing over past vertical.
But she will remain in 1st place unless we get a great dive from Brita Baldus, who is in 2nd place and following her. What does that do to her when she knows that the woman she's chasing did not have a great dive before?
She may not be aware of what the scores are. A lot of divers choose not to follow the scores. They have enough pressure to deal with on their own, just doing the best they can. That was a really nice dive. It really was. She twisted a little bit slowly, but she got the dive down great, and it was clean. It'll be interesting to see.
She needed to pick up 13 points. These results, of course, are not official, but from the results I have,
She swings her arms up and comes around, looks at the water to square out. Nice dive.
from my unofficial results, it appears that she may have enough to win the gold medal. But coming up also fighting for a medal is Tristan Baker.
Trish is doing a back 1.5 somersaults with a 2.5 twist, 2.8 degree difficulty, and she's smart to leave this dive for last because she can really nail it. She's only 12 points out of second place going into the last round, so if she really hits this,
She's just 2 points behind Zana Cyrilnikova for third place going into this round. Zana had a fine dive.
maybe enough for silver anyway. A little bit short of vertical, but real nice clean entry.
A nice dive for Tristan Baker.
7.
Mostly 7s from the judges.
Watch her swing her arms up and cross her arms across her chest. Start that twist action. When she comes around and squares her arms out to the side, that stops the twist. It's a little bit short, but a real nice dive.
Marina Babkova up next. When you consider the points, and by the time you add up all the scores and the degree of difficulties, the winner of a diving competition will have close to 500 points.
Mm-hmm.
And this competition is going to be decided by just a point or even a fraction of a point.
Mm-hmm. That's why I never paid attention to scores. I think the best way to win the meet is just dive better than everybody else. I mean, it's obvious. That was a little short of vertical, too. Real clean entry, though. It should be interesting to see what kind of scores she gets on her.
She got 6s, 5s, and a halves from most of the judges. The Marina Babkova having a disappointing opening competition here in the Goodwill Games. Our final diver, Michelle Mitchell. She has been up and down in the standings. She's gone from 9th place to 7th up to 3rd, and now she's dropped back to 7th, and she goes into her final dive.
Well, Michelle is primarily a tower diver, although her springboard has been improving really incredibly rapidly in the last, I guess, year and a half. But knowing the kind of competitor that she is, she's not going to leave the pool deck today without leaving an impression on people's minds. See?
That was beautiful.
Really nice every 2.5. It was a little bit back from the board, a little too far back from the board, but straight in and real clean.
Degree of difficulty was 2.7. She received 7s from most of the judges.
Well, she did some nice dives today. She should be very happy. Nice warm-up for the platform event. She's thinking, oh, good, it's over.
She knows that one dive she had back in the 9th, after she had made her move into 3rd place, will probably cost her a medal. Here are the results. That's after the women's springboard competition at the Goodwill Games. The gold medal goes to Brita, Baldus of East Germany. Lynn Dieton from China receives the silver, and the bronze goes to Zana Cyrilnikova of the Soviet Union.
Soviet Union, Rita Baldus of East Germany wins the women's 3-meter platform diving gold medal. But again, the main event tonight, women's basketball, the U.S. dismantled the Soviet Union, won the gold medal, beating the Soviets by 23 points. We will be back to wrap it up and tell you what's ahead on our primetime coverage of the Goodwill Games later tonight. So stay with us. To Moscow, time enough to tell you a few things. Coming up on our primetime coverage with Bob Neal and Marianne Laughlin, the games go on. Men's basketball championship from Spain. You'll see the battle of the unbeatens, the United States team against Italy. Also more cycling with an eye on the world record-holding Soviet pursuit team. They have, will they shear more time off their own world mark? Men's water polo, the U.S. will play Greece. But again, the central issue tonight was women's basketball. It's late morning on the West Coast. It's afternoon around the rest of America, but it's nighttime here in Moscow. And what a night and what a time for the United States women's basketball team. Speed and quickness got it done, and desire and determination, and all those adjectives that made a lot of sense tonight. The United States saved their best effort for the crowning glory as they beat the Soviet Union in women's basketball 83-60 to win the gold medal. Thanks for being with us. TBS Sports' coverage of the Goodwill Games continues tonight on prime time. Good night from Moscow for now.